And I better mute you. There we go. Yes, Eli, you heard Siobhan.
Yay, a tiger raid!
Yeah.
Welcome, James.
Ooh, that's not good. There we go. What the? Okay, that's not right. That was weird. No, I went to host, and it pulls it up in a completely different window, even though I've got a tab sitting right there, and I clicked on that. So it's like, that was weird.
I don't stream yet, so I have no clue. Eventually I'm going to, though, because I'm going to get Starlink out here. That is on my list of achieving things in the next year.
Right on. There you go, Charmy City. That might be a little clearer now. Yeah, I just had to turn off my AC. I forgot about that. Oh.
I'm going to make my mic live since I'm talking and other people are talking. This is cool. Hello, everybody. I'm still getting a couple things set up in the background here, so that's why you're listening to the counter. Or watching the counter, rather. Listening to us talk. But you know what? I suppose I can do some of that in the background. Because I just gotta... With all the stuff you're trying to get done all at once, I forgot to change the giveaways to say what they're currently giving away. So I'm doing that now. Thank you so much, Kahuna, for the raid. Really appreciate it, guys.
And James with his raid.
And James with his tiger raid. I love it. I love the tiger raid.
Yep. Yeah, we just need to get James streaming properly so we can actually get some viewers so we can raid with them.
Yeah.
Hint, hint. Not yet, Doug. Welcome, Cal Ghidorah.
Hello, Cal. Good to see you. I'm sorry I didn't respond to your messages yet. I did see them, but I have been really insanely busy. So I just haven't had time to reply. Oh, alright, good. Ha.
I don't know what happened, Macaro.
Hey, Doug, no, you did not miss the cover reveal. We're still on the start screen here. But I'll tell you what. Let's get started. And hello, everybody, and welcome to the cover reveal event stream for A Few Good Elves. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Kahuna. Thank you for the raid. Hello, Siobhan in the chat, who raided over, even though she's over there. There, the other way. The other way. I don't know. I can't point today. Left and right, so weird on this thing. Hello, Eli. Hello, Kayatan. Hello, James. Hi, Delian. Thank you all so much for your support, for coming. It's awesome. Did I say hi to Kayatan? Okay, making sure, because I see him again. Hello, Charmy City. Hi, Masadis. Boop back. Boop. Hi, Doug. Hi, Cal. Hi, Macaro. And hi, Emily. Yeah, you're getting out of the shower just on time. Yeah, because, like, you know, this is me, right? Am I ever on time for anything? Have I ever been?
Hell no. Occasionally.
Once in a while. Yeah, once in a while. I've actually left instructions specifically with my family that I want my corpse or my ashes to show up at least 15 minutes late for my funeral, because I've never been on time for anything in my life, so I'll be damned if I'm going to be on time for my death. I'm not kidding, by the way. I'm dead serious about that. So, only a few good elves get to see the cover. That's hilarious, Doug. Right on. Hello, Daz. Welcome. So I have some special guests today, as you may... Other way. Ha! There. I have some special guests today, as you may be aware. So, you know most of them. We have Siobhan, the writer, who, of course, you've probably seen her stream, and if not, then you've probably seen her on our Toy Soldiers Old School campaign that we regularly run on Sunday nights. And over there, next to her, is Rowan, who you will also recognize from Toy Soldiers. And then beneath him, we have Author Goddess, you know, beneath but not least, who is, of course, another Twitch streamer that you know, member of the ASC like Siobhan, and who was the editor for A Few Good Elves, and a longtime friend. So yes, it was, I really wanted to get, Kel says, hi, Rowan, nice to get a name to the face. Yeah. Yeah, because you usually appear for like 10 seconds at the beginning of the, hi, I'm Rowan, you know, do the intro and then you're out because satellite internet. And that's going to be happening today here too, just so you know.
Yep.
You know, so thank you guys for, you know, accepting my kind of last minute invitation to do this. I'm kind of all over the place right now, so I'm not sure where to start. You remember talking about her back in the day. Yes, Rowan and I have been friends for a very long time, and so have Siobhan and I. Actually, Author Goddess and I have been friends now for a pretty long time, too. It's been, what, good decade now, I think.
Pretty close.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. If not a full decade, then at least eyeballing it.
Yeah, within that range. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we actually met through writing, which is that's kind of cool actually. Author Goddess is like my first like friend that I met through doing writing business stuff actually. Right, we connected on Facebook. We're both pagan writers and fiction writers, and I don't know, like we connected in a Facebook group. I don't even remember which one.
It was the podcast.
Oh, it was the podcast? That's right. Okay, what's the podcast? Okay, so Author Goddess.
Because we were looking for pagan authors to interview.
Right, that's right. The Pagan Musings podcast was the name of the podcast. I don't know. It doesn't still exist, does it?
Nope.
No. Yeah.
Cannot find any iteration that my partner in crime has continued the podcast at all.
Okay. Gotcha.
Might almost need to restart it.
No. This time I would know what I would. Okay, see, you have to understand my bitterness about the podcast. I showed up for the first episode of this podcast as a guest and was I think I was present for 99% of the episodes. So no. I was wrangled into it the first time. I know what I'm getting into the second time. I said no. I'm happy to be on podcasts, but I'm not running a podcast again.
It's a lot of work to run a podcast. I've also done podcasting, as you guys know. You may have seen If This Goes On, Don't Panic, which has done some live episodes on this channel. To be fair, though, Alan, my partner in crime, does the bulk of the behind-the-scenes work. He manages the website. He gets most of the guests. He, does a lot of the organizing. And, I mean, like, I don't just show up and talk. I do other things. I maintain the WordPress site. I get, I get more guests than our other partners in crime, but not nearly as many as Alan. It's not like I'm idle, but if he weren't taking on the heavy lifting, there would be no way, right? So yeah, it's a lot of work. And before that, I did a podcast called the Pagan Pathfinders podcast. Let me tell you something. Pagans are such a pain in the ass to have as guests. Because they are so free-spirited. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. I looked stable by comparison to, yeah.
I noticed that one of the big things with scheduling our guests was you kind of have to make sure that it's point and click for everybody, because otherwise they'll just be like, whatever, and then it all falls apart.
Yeah, it's true. I had one guest on my podcast who insisted that I phone her by phone. She wouldn't even do Skype back in the day.
Yeah, it's so weird, because I always thought that, well, like the pagans that I hung out with were mostly online, so I was into techno-pagan-y type stuff. We were on the internet from the wee baby years of it, and then discovering that there are people on Facebook and stuff, this was like 5-10 years ago, people on Facebook who are like, yeah, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this. And I'm like, the hell are you even doing owning a computer?
True story, that. Yeah.
Yeah. They were probably on their mobile phone.
Writers are much more stable, by the way, which should worry people, because they're not.
Writers stable? What?
They're just better at looking stable.
Pagans are party alcoholics. Writers are functional alcoholics.
There you go. That's actually a marvelous metaphor. It's true. Present company not excluded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, Rowan. Yes, your birthday is the day the Kickstarter launches.
No. Oh, it isn't? Awesome. That's kind of neat.
It is kind of neat. That's very
I thought
cool.
your Kickstarter was launching on July 15th.
No, June 15th to July 15th. Yeah. I may have
okay.
missaid it once or twice though, because my brain. Okay, what I've been doing for the past about 5 days is okay, first of all, I was in the video editor mine, as I call it. Remember back in Game of Tones, I said I hate video editing. Okay, I'm not kidding. I hate video editing, right? The reason why I hate it, and people are like, but this is so good. Okay, that's because it takes a lot of time, and that's what I really don't. That's why I hate it, right? I locked myself in my room. This time, I locked myself in my room for 3 days, getting about 4 hours sleep a night. Pissed off both my partners because I wasn't, even available to have coffee, right? And worked, right? And that's how it goes. So normally I would have liked to have had like a month, but I had to wait for the cover art. Now I'm not complaining, right? I'm not complaining. This has been a crazy year and a half for everybody, and lots of stuff has been going on in people's lives, and we gotta all be patient, and it was worth it, right? You guys will see it was worth it. But it was to the point where if I wanted to launch on the 15th, which I have to if I'm going to make my publishing target date of September 6th this year, right, then I had to get it done in those couple of days, right? And that was it. So it was basically like when I was doing video editing for Game of Tones, and like it's going to be again in November. But hopefully you guys like the result. You will get to look at it. One of the things we are going to do today is a preview of a sneaky peek of the Kickstarter video, which is not even live yet because the Kickstarter preview page is up, but, so you can go there and follow, right? But the video is not yet up. Speaking of which, since I just told you that, and I'm about to send you there with the link. Uh-oh. Yeah. Sorry, just a second here. Okay, clicked the wrong thing accidentally. I was over there. Okay, so, yeah, I'm going to do the cover reveal video now, I think. So there's the link, and here we go. So that video took much less time. Oh, I love this. It's hilarious. James is like, oh, I need a job! Cayutan says, I like the toy
I think he's
soldiers.
offering to help you with your video.
Who's my artist? My artist is Chaotica. She is also a world anvilite and a world building streamer. I will shout her out because I've been very happy with her work, and I think that you guys should definitely check her out. Let's see if this works here without her being in the chat. I asked her to come today, but she couldn't make it. So, okay, enter keyboard.
Yes, it does.
There we go. Yeah, so I looked at some of her art streams because I try to watch all World Anvil streamers when I discover them, and I was like, damn, she does good work. So it was a reasonable price too. I'm not going to tell people what it was because that is rude, but it was, if you were looking to get commissions, it was affordable. It was not cheap, but it was affordable, right? There are much higher priced people out there. I will say that. Did I share the cover? You missed it. Okay, we'll show it. We'll show it again. We'll show it again in a minute. But yeah, in a video.
Not an official stream without it.
Yep. I have no idea why that happened.
Oh, we're back.
It always seems to happen on like when it's important. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, just always. I don't understand, but it does. So.
There we go.
There we go. Maybe because the graphic was really big. This is a big graphic, guys. I don't know what happens, man. It just, whenever, it does this to me in Game of Tomes, when I'm doing, like, the, results stream, it's like it has a personal grudge. Okay, so there's the big
Too
version.
much awesome.
Oh, sorry? Too much awesome?
Yeah, too much awesome. You got too much awesome going on.
That could be the
Yeah.
problem. Yep. Too much awesome for her PC. I'm too sexy for my PC.
I'm too sexy for my PC. Okay. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So, let's see. I was talking about Chaotica and how I found her, right? I knew that I had to get a commission piece because it's so weird. I mean, in order to do this, right, to capture kind of what this book is and what the universe is, it has to be a combination of space opera, military fiction, and Age of Sail, right? And there was, and with elves in it, right? You can actually find 2 out of the, or 3 out of the 4. You cannot find all 4. Right? Every elf in the world is in some Tolkien-esque New Zealand setting, right? You can find elves in military uniforms. That you can actually find that, but they're like nowhere near Age of Sail anything. There's no space involved. Like, yeah, space elves, preposterous. Legit, guys. What was the old cover, says Kayatan. So I had a piece that a friend of mine made for me on an exchange, and I wasn't satisfied with it. Not because he doesn't do good work, because he does. I'm going to put this in between in the windows here so that if people want to be on camera, they can, and I won't be covering them up. But, okay, so I wasn't happy with it because it wasn't accurate. Right? That's truer than you know. Cal says, sounds like the lust child of Spelljammer and Starship Troopers. I will admit to that. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that, yeah.
Yeah, I totally will. I'll talk about that in a bit, right? Because that's what I wanted to bring, Siobhan and Rowan on for. But, right, yeah, space elves, Vulcans. It's so weird that space elves is a trope, and there's no pictures of space elves.
Hey, Sparkles!
Hey, Sparkles, good to see you. Oh, and
Hey, Sparkles!
Hello.
don't talk about Spelljammer or the Radiant Dragon. Charmy City, I feel your pain. Right? Well, there are the Eldar in Warhammer 40k. That's true. There, it looks very Warhammer. It doesn't look like anything else. Right? So, and it doesn't look right. So I couldn't use it. So, okay, that exists. And they're always in the full armor, so you can't see that they're elves anyway. So I don't know what the point. But yeah, I hear you. Okay, so yes, Spelljammer, right? Okay, so actually, right? Yeah, okay, right. Sorry, I'm doing my friend Aaron a disservice. Aaron Siddall is his name, who's done some of the other art. It's the cover. I used it for the cover of the Queen's Dirk, right? But it's not entirely accurate. And one of the things that was one of Author Goddess's critiques when she was doing the edit was that I was describing things as very clearly being on an open-decked sailing ship in space, and all the illustrations showed it all closed in, right? So it was important to to not have that. Also, the image that was made of Chandar there, he's not in a Navy uniform. And that was also important because you need to know it's military fiction by the cover, right? So I thought this was perfect. The font display there was chosen because initially I was going for something with a more modern look, but that's not how the art turned out. That's not where the creative muse took Chaotica, and that's cool because I, tried to give minimal instruction, actually. I don't want to kill anybody's vision. Just because I have one image of things in my head does not mean that that's everybody's vision. Just the details were important, I insisted on, right? So it ended up looking very much like classic pulp fiction, right? Which is actually, I decided I'd go with it because it is sort of, right? So I was strongly inspired by all of that. So why not do the cover that way? Tells you what it's about. We need more Victorian elves. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Calutan says, did I hear that ships in Toy Soldiers have open decks? Yes, you did. How do they breathe? The engine that they use, actually, I don't know. Do you guys want to? I'm babbling away here. I brought you guys on to talk. Do any of you guys want to answer that, or do you want me to go into it?
Well, Kayetan, the helms that they use, which is the engine, creates an etheric bubble which traps air inside of it while they're on the planet before they head into space. So they can use, once they're in space, they can use natural ways of creating fresh air, like photosynthesis, since their ships are living, or they can have druids and priests refresh the air envelope. But over time, it still gets stale, so they still need to port in and refresh the air envelope.
Yeah. Basically, it's the engines work like they're a combination of time, space, gravity, and magic. They create a gravitational magical field. This also holds people to the decks and creates basically an Earth-type gravity, and they carry an atmosphere, right, which they call their etheric membrane, right? It also will deflect minor space obstacles, dust and particles and things like that, because at least when they're traveling at relativistic speeds, because otherwise if you hit a piece of dust in a nebula, you would blow up a lot. So yes, so there's a reason for it, and actually, it actually, I think it does make sense. Remember, this is space opera done with magic, right? So
Slancha.
oh, hail hydrate, thank you.
Hail hydrate.
And posture check.
And thank you. Ooh, but not
Hail.
asteroids. No, because what happens when they get into the presence of an asteroid or other significant gravitational body is that they are pulled out of relativistic speeds, right? So because the gravitational fields generated interact with each other and cause a dragging effect, right? So they slow down and then they have to navigate through it. It's still it's still pretty much like light speed or close to it, but not faster than light. So yeah, that's how that works. And the same thing works when they encounter other ships. Otherwise, there would be no point in having space battles, right? You would never encounter other ships in space. You would just go to the planet and stop, right? So, but yeah.
Brace yourself! Asteroid hits the ship.
Yeah, that's happened. Asteroids, I recommend ointment. Yeah. Cal's hilarious. He says, if you're wondering how they eat and breathe and other science facts, then just repeat to yourself, it's just a book. I should really relax. Yes, so objects pull you out of hyperspeed like an eddy in the rapids. Exactly like an eddy in the rapids, actually. Let me see if I can do something on the screen without blowing everything up. You know what I didn't do was reboot everything again before I started. That's what the problem is. So, okay, so we're going to open up a page, and hopefully it's not going to blow everything up. Invents drag physics to help excuse space battles, says Mikaro Sable does. Yes. Yes, because rule of cool, but it had to have a logic to it. This is what good world building is about, right? It has to be consistent within the world, right? It's my rule of magic and science fiction and stuff like that is physics work until they don't. Which means that once you change them, they must work consistently like that from that point on.
No, overboard!
No, I'm overboard. Me, the serum gives them superpowers. Done. Fair enough?
And that's just it. If anyone from the ships does end up going overboard, they have a brooch, which is a magical item that allows them to keep an air envelope for a little while, so they can be rescued.
Yeah. How it works is that okay, so there's two types of starfaring engines, right? One is a natural product of something called a star seed, which is the seed of a giant cosmic tree. And these naturally contain their own engine because they are adapted to travel the erts, which I just posted an article link for there. The erts are currents of gravity time, magic, and space. So you even have to go along certain routes, right? You can't just willy-nilly go out into the void. If you're going to travel, that's what the sails are for. They actually have a purpose, and that's to harness the currents of the erts, right? This actually has scientific basis to it. There are links in the article that will tell you about how the idea is supported by astrophysics. So, does it show I've been reading your stuff, Sable? Says Daz. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how that works. Okay, but they can also create a starfaring engine, which I named Spin Dizzies, which is entirely stolen, homage, I mean, from a book called Cities in Flight by James Blish, which is a classic science fiction novel. And I was already kind of, working in my head how they worked, and he basically describes what they do. It's totally intended as a tribute to this work, right? But I made up a metal called star metal. I sort of give it a pseudo explanation, and then of course there's the classic mithril. And when they interact, they create a gravitational electromagnetic current kind of thing, right? Because yeah, it also the etheric membrane also deflects radiation to some degree because it's basically a Faraday cage as well.
Oh, thank you, Sparkles. I didn't realize that Sable's world has actually inspired your new Rifle Mage universe. That's cool.
Oh, I'm really flattered because I love that universe, Barbarossa. That is so neat with your magic and firearms. It's so cool. Thank you so much. That imitation is the deepest form of flattery. I'm really honored. James Blish says, Doug's World, that name sounds familiar. Did he do any work on Star Trek? I think he did, actually. I'm pretty sure that he did at least some of the writing, and this would have been the classic OG Star Trek, right? If he didn't, he certainly worked within those circles because science fiction at that time was a very tight-knit little community, and they often, did a bunch of things. It's not much different nowadays, by the way. But yes, so okay. So here, what I need to do. He did, says Cayutan. Cool. Okay, I thought that was the case, and now I know for sure. So we're gonna start the first giveaway here, which I totally forgot until just now. But this is, let's see here. I need to edit how long the giveaway is, don't I? That's what I forgot to do. Well, we'll go for 45 minutes, I think, eh? It's going to go for an hour for everything, but we don't have time for that because I've been yapping. As you can tell, I'm overexcited, right? And underslept.
Yep.
Okay, so our first giveaway.
Rowan?
Oh.
Sparkle says, no smoking!
Rowan asked Barbarossa to give her shit when he saw her smoking because she's trying to quit. So, all right, so we have started the
that
first.
way as soon as some
sorry.
life stuff's straightened out.
Right.
I said I'm headed that way as soon as some life stuff's straightened out, and in the meantime, reminders that I need to quit helps me mentally prepare for doing the cold turkey run.
Yeah, fair enough. So this raffle is for a copy of Under the World by E. Christopher Clark, who is one of our World Anvil writers as well. And he actually donated this originally for the 500 followers stream, but it didn't get out there because I was disorganized, I guess, and so we're doing it now. There will also be 2 more raffles today, right? So yeah, definitely make sure you get in on it. All right, so let's see. I was talking about, okay. So the Lust Child of Spelljammer and Starship Troopers, right? And Don't Talk to Me About Spelljammer and the Radiant Dragon. Okay, so the Toy Soldier Saga started as a fan fiction piece set in the Spelljammer universe. I sat on the story for a very long time, and then I thought, what the hell, I'm going to write it, and I did it for my first Nano project. It was the first novel I ever finished a full draft of. I was really involved in the Spelljammer fan community. I was one of the writers for the unofficial, or for the official, actually, second edition fan site, right? There was a whole bunch of us who were part of a group there, people like David Big Mac Shepard, right? Paul Westermeyer, right? Also known as Westermeyer GM, right? Aaron Sedal was part of that group as well. There was, there was a bunch of us. I'm trying to remember. Yes, Silverblade the Enchanter, right? Who is an amazing artist who unfortunately. Oh, bye, Barbarossa. Thanks for joining me. Yeah. Yeah, so Silverblade the Enchanter was, he's a really amazing artist, but he is disabled, and it's progressing, so he's not able to do as much art as he used to do. He did some amazing Spelljammer art. I have used some of it on the website for Toy Soldier, where I feel it's appropriate and not too far off the mark, right? Okay, so we were a core fan group. We were really devoted. Then they changed to 3rd edition, and then Spelljammer fell into some kind of copyright hell, and nothing came of it. I originally was trying to sell this idea to first TSR and then Wizards of the Coast, right? And yeah, nothing happened. Shame that Spelljammer didn't survive to 5th edition. You know what the worst part is there, Cayutan? They keep teasing us, right? They keep throwing in little things to look like, oh, is that a star, an elven mana war that's crashed at whatever, right? But they keep not doing anything with it. The last attempt they did was Piazzo's, Beyond the Spider Moons, which was the only 3rd edition type project that was ever produced for Spelljammer, and then that's it. You never hear about it again. So, I agree, Damparo. Damparo Plays says Spelljammer idea was so cool. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why the novel took so long to get out. Because I was going, I can't do anything with this, because it's, if Wizards doesn't buy it, then it's their world. So then I set about making it not their world, right? I changed everything that had any connection with what they were doing. And you'll recognize the ghosts of that in there. Little Easter egg homages that if you are familiar with the Spelljammer setting, you will go, I know where she got that idea. Yeah, you do. That's where I got it, right? But it's not their thing, right? I am using none of their properties, their trademarks, their names, their anything, right? If anything, it has more in common now with Master and Commander and World of Warcraft in some ways. So, by the way, are the Illithid mind flares from Spelljammer 2? Says Kayatan. Sort of, right? Their name for it, yes. The creature is actually a Lovecraftian monster.
If I remember correctly, you can still see mind flayers in the regular D&D worlds because they were Underdark creatures.
Yeah. That's where they originally used them, was Underdark creatures, and then they took them into space from there, and that's been a thing since Fiend Folio for the first edition. But they got the idea from a Lovecraftian monster. Like, I'm sure Cal has seen elements of it because I know he does a lot of Lovecraftian stuff, right? So he's the one who actually kind of introduced me to some of the stuff, but back in the day. But yeah. So there is a monster in there that somewhat resembles a mind flare, right? Because it's an earlier concept. Wizards of the Coast is the master of stealing shit. They and in many ways I don't judge them for that. They borrow other ideas and file the serial numbers off, right? So
Yeah, but don't we all, really?
yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Some of their stuff's pretty
It-
blatant though, but yeah.
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 Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. Authors don't usually create brandy new stuff. We just combine all of the old stuff in new and interesting ways.
Yeah, true story there. I agree with you completely.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely did that here. I'm not even going to lie. One of the things that you'll be able to get in the Kickstarter, usually as an add-on, which is a new thing they did not have 2 years ago when I did my last Kickstarter, and I thought, this is cool, right? I think it's an extra $2, right? That's Canadian bucks, by the way. They make you do all the Kickstarter stuff in your own currency, which I've got to tell you is a pain in the ass. 90% of everything I pay for with this is bought in the United States. It would really be helpful if I could just do it in US dollars, but I can't, so that's for, $2 Canadian. I give you a list of my top 100 influences behind the scenes on this book. And so, yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff in there, right? So, yeah. Okay, so what have I missed here? Yes, Cal said, I think the Illithid have been a thing since 0E. I think Spelljammer introduced their homeworld. I don't remember if it did introduce their homeworld. I don't think that was in there, but they were definitely a space power, right? Yeah, Gary Gygax was a bit of a fan of Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft, which totally doesn't surprise me. I mean, they're super nerds, right? So I'm a super nerd. I'm into it all. Why wouldn't they be? Kel says, come to think of it, beholders can fall under the category of cosmic eldritch horror. Yes, the beholder as it exists in Wizards products is very unique. So I have something else that is much more Lovecraftian. Yeah. Conan meets Cthulhu.
Yeah. The Cthulhuans.
Actually, to be fair, there, Daz, one of our early examples of shared universes came from the Cthulhu mythos. Robert E. Howard wrote a bunch of stuff that were set in Lovecraft's universe, right? They both tended to write for the same pulp magazines, and so they, that was one of the first examples of, yeah, go ahead, write a story in my world. That's cool, So it's out there. It's stuff. I know he's best known for Conan, but he did a lot of other things. He did some weird westerns too, and he did. Howard. I'm talking about, right? And Solomon Kane, right? So,
And we have a Masadi's
hello,
raid.
Masadis. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to the Kingdom of Misa. It's good to see you. We will shout you out with my fancy new shout out command.
Welcome aboard, Raiders.
Yay!
Well, I am sorry to be a party pooper, but I am going to have to go. I have an appointment soon, and it is that time.
Well, thanks for
I
joining
will.
us for the time that you did, Siobhan. I really
I'll
appreciate
try
it.
to get back on if I can.
Okay. Well, I'm here till 5, my time, so your
Okay.
time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yes, Lovecraft was a racist. Lots of the writers at that time were racist, especially if they were working in science fiction. It was a bit of a problem at the time there. Dampar, or no, not Damparo. Who said that? I think it was Cayetan. Yes, right. But he also has some pretty amazing ideas that have continued to influence science fiction to this day. So,
Well, I mean, isn't it kind of part of our duty to take these great ideas from crap people and make better ideas from not crap people?
I think so.
So yeah, I'll go with that. I'm not as crappy.
Yep, that's right. We're not interested in crappy nastiness. That's for sure. Well, okay. Actually, that's not fair. To be honest, there is some crappy nastiness that happens in my story. I hope that I make the point that it's crappy and it's nastiness and it should not be happening. So,
Well, okay. See, you don't have to be a crappy nasty person to discuss crappy nasty things.
yeah, exactly. This is true because crappy nasty things exist in the world, and sometimes that's where the story is, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I mean the thing is, in a lot of ways, I'm going off here. I'm
Go
just
for
going
it.
off.
Have it.
In a lot of ways, it's crappier and nastier to sweep it under the rug than it is to talk about it in a way that other people might be able to get something out of it, even if it's just like a little empathy or a little, you know, understanding or even self-identifying, as that's what's screwing me up kind of thing, that's an important part.
I think so too. I think it's dishonest to not look at the way that some of these things have influenced what we do, and some of the ideas were good. A stopped clock is right twice a day, you know?
Exactly. And I mean, let's face it, a lot of these concepts that they wrote in incredibly racist ways can also be written in incredibly um what's the word I'm looking for? Satirical is not the right word, but you using the inherent racism of the topics to shine a light on how crappy the concept of racism is.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that, right? And I think that's important work to do in writing. And okay, let's be honest here, right? My story takes place in an era of colonialism. Colonialism is terrible. It has a lot of things in it that are really not good things. Racism and elitism and classism and war are among them, right? So there is a lot of that kind of clash. And
Oh yeah.
oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love the way that you take races that a lot of people idealize and, dare I say, idolize, and you look at them in a way that is like, yeah, they're cool, but they're also kind of dicks.
Thank you. That was part of my point.
Yeah, elves are dicks, man. That's just a fact.
there's a
Usually.
there's a lot of high fantasy tropes out there that I wanted to critique. Right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
And hello, Heal. Thank you for the hydrate. Hail, hydrate.
Hail, hydrate.
By the way, did you guys know that started spreading around thanks to Rowan? She's the one who started doing that, and now it's all over. I love it. I don't know how that happened because it's catchy. And she says you got it from Amtgard, right?
That's right. I got it from my favorite hobby where we dress up to do LARP and we beat on each other with foam-covered sticks. And that was a thing because there isn't somebody officially who wanders around making sure everybody has enough water. So what people do is when they go to take a water break, somebody bellows, "Hail, hydrate," and holds their water bottle way up in the air, and everybody else yells, "Hail, hydrate," and goes and gets a drink.
Makes sense. Avoids dehydration. I need to say hi to some people. So first of all, hi Heel. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad to see you. And hello, Aegon.
High heel, hail, hydrate. Oh dear.
That's a Peter Piper tongue twister there. It's a good one.
See, every time I say hail, hydrate, I'm like, I am the evil, Captain America.
Yeah. Hail Hydra. What were they thinking with that bullshit anyway?
Well, I mean,
It was
if
supposed to be Hitler-esque.
Yeah.
Well, it does make sense because if you have comic books that you're trying to make money on, so you bring back the really popular characters. After a while, you just start grasping at straws for plots because everything's been done over and over again. What do they call it? The fifth season slump or something like that.
Right.
Fourth season. I don't remember which season it is, but it's just you got to bring in the mysterious younger cousin that comes to live with you kind of thing from the 80s and 70s. But you got to do something. And sometimes with comic books, they just reboot everything every couple of years and do a new timeline. And somebody decided that this would be an interesting take. And I don't think that anybody particularly cared for it, but it did give us that beautiful, beautiful scene in Endgame.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Easter eggs all over the place for us nerds. Yeah.
We all went,
yeah, Cousin Oliver, exactly.
Cousin Oliver, yep.
Whose crunch was that? Oh, I don't know. The guys are like trashing the place back there or something. I don't know what they're doing. It's my webcam mic, so you're picking up.
It might have been my children too. They're making supper. Such good little servants. Children.
Well, you gotta serve some functional purpose.
Mine are all running away. Enjoy it while you can, and they're still home, and you still are the one in charge and know everything. Because eventually they grow up and leave. Yeah.
She's like
your minions.
This is one of those cases of one woman's trash is another's treasure. Because I think Author Goddess part of the time is you want them.
Part of the time? Sure. Yeah, we'll go with part of the time. Look, my children are at least as smart as I am, and that says way too much. And I keep them home with me in a desperate attempt to save the world from their evil villainy.
Nice. I like it.
That sounds vaguely familiar, doesn't it, Sable? Yeah, when the boys were growing up.
Yep, someday they're going to take over the world, so everybody just be prepared for it. You'll like it. It'll be like that scene in Lord of the Rings with Galadriel, the Dark Queen, beautiful and
terrible
and terrible like the dawn. Yes, you'll love them for it, and they will control every aspect of your life, and it'll be okay. It's all okay. It's just sit back and relax.
I don't know. All I remember about the three boys growing up, Rowan's two sons and my son, right? They were kind of raised together for years, right? They call each other cousins now, right? And I'm aunt and she's aunt, right? But family by choice, right? So all I remember is if at any given time, two of them were fighting.
It's true.
Which two changed, but it was always two. It happened all day, every day, forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. When they got older,
Mm-hmm.
and one was living with me and one was living with Diane, they used to call each other on the internet, play entirely different video games, and sit there and not talk.
Yes, apparently
They
this
would
is
just listen to
socializing.
each other exist.
I was like, good, they're not fighting. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So Makara said,
Actually, until recently, I didn't really understand that one, but now I get it.
yeah, I get it more and more. The COVID has taught me all kinds of things about that, actually. Yes,
Sometimes you just need somebody to be present.
yeah, even if they're not physically present. Yeah. Makara says, as a Shadowrunner, I always assumed elves are dicks. Makaro, by the way, Rowan, I don't know if you know, actually is a Shadowrun writer. He has done work on their
Yes,
latest
I
edition.
did know that.
Mm-hmm.
He does modules.
Rowan is
basically.
an old school Shadowrun GM, right? We used to play Shadowrun in her world, her version. So, back in the day.
Yep, second edition, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember those days.
Those days when we didn't have jobs and we were young, so we stayed up till stupid o'clock and then slept for 4 hours and got up and gamed again.
Oh no. Even if we had jobs, we just like worked around the jobs.
Bye, Cayutan.
Yeah, game worked around jobs.
Yeah, thanks for joining me
I
today.
remember days of
hold on just a
being
second.
so involved in the game. Yep.
Okay, I'm saying goodbye to Cayutan. There is going to be a preview, a sneak peek of the Kickstarter video later in this broadcast, but it also will be on YouTube and linked on the A Few Good Elves page on the Toy Soldier Saga website. So if you want to see it, it will be there. Same for you there, Amelie, since you're also going to bed. Good night. Thank you for joining me.
Good night.
In the meantime,
Also
since a
means
bunch
we're
of
probably going to
Europeans
lose
are going to
James
bed,
shortly too.
probably. Since a bunch of Europeans are going to bed, there's the link again for the Kickstarter preview page. Bye, Demparo. Bye, Emily.
We
Good night,
just
everyone.
lost half of Europe.
Europe goes to bed at this time. I always lose the Europeans an hour into this stream, unfortunately. I've seriously considered doing it earlier for that reason, but yeah. Yeah. All right, so
anyways,
you were saying
back in the day, I remember us having been into our far future of the Toy Soldier campaign.
Right.
And us being up half the night yapping because Aaron needed sleep, and then us rolling his ass out of bed after 4 hours for more game.
Yep, we did. I remember exactly the event she's talking about because these were other characters,
yeah,
right, whose stories have not yet been told, and Aaron was traumatizing us with like truly evil bad guys being truly evil. So we made him get up because our minds were weaseling and we needed to finish the story. He's like, coffee.
And this is why my Star Wars character has a very, very active journal in hopes that I can get some sleep since we only game once a week. Although occasionally I can corner the DM. Occasionally, but he's very busy.
Yeah. So yeah, another another old story about that kind of thing. I don't know what I was talking about. I had it a minute ago and now it's out of my brain. I don't remember, but I was thinking about I'll get it back at some point. I was just yeah. Okay, so yeah, lots of role-playing game influence. right? And not going to apologize for it, right? I'm an old school nerd, and I'm happy to be an old school nerd. So, yeah. We were playing. This whole thing started with a character that I created for a Spelljammer game that Aaron was running. That's the protagonist of the novel, Shandar Sunfall, and a lot of it came out of his backstory, actually. So, and then Rowan later on was playing a character that, and I still don't know how that's going to go in the book, right? Just to let you know, but she was a romantic interest of my version of the character at the time, right? And they were writing poetry to each other, and which we wrote, by the way. This is the kind of fucking nerds we are, okay? I went and looked up every word in Espruar, which is the Forgotten Realms Elvish, right? And compiled a dictionary.
Helping hunt them all down.
Yeah, you did. You looked for sources for me. You found them. You're like, okay, and you marked the page, and So I guess I should say we. A lot of things that are actually we, Rowan and I, in the day, right? But granddaughter just got picked up. Nice that you got to visit your granddaughter, Cal. That's cool. Nerd. Oh yeah, I'm a total nerd, right? Yeah. So we compiled all of this into a dictionary, right? And then we wrote to each other in Elvish, with notes from the what is it called? Not Cormanther. The hell, I don't remember.
Dragon Mag did a thing that started us really
Right.
on that whole kick.
Right, but I'm talking about the old Empires stuff. There was a second edition book, and we just started playing third edition.
Yeah, Sea of Fallen Stars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We went through and we stole every bit of Elvish out of there too. Basically, any piece that we could get our hands on.
Yeah, there was a thing, like one of the books was about one of the Elven kingdoms whose name I have forgotten now, and
Mithranor, perhaps.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was the nation. It wasn't just about Mithranor, but yeah, it was the Mithranor source book, right? So there was a whole section in there on the grammar of Elvish, right? So this is how and it just had like 3 throwaway lines, and we went off with, well, in order to make that make sense, this and that and the other thing would have to happen. So we were writing poetry to each other in Elvish.
Matter of fact, actually, recently I've been reviving my Espruar skills because I'm putting together some bookmarks for somebody, and I wanted to put things in Espruar on the back because cool. They're a monster geek too.
That is awesome.
And I've decided I'm going to not make them out of paper. I'm going to make them out of mountain ashwood, which is also known as a rowan tree.
That's cool. What a cool idea. That's awesome. Just a side thing, Cal says, technically she's Becky's granddaughter, but as far as I'm concerned, Becky and I are married, and I have better uses for my larynx than adding step to every other word. Okay, so my son is my stepson. He's my son. I do not require this distancing. And furthermore, I have better use for my larynx too. So I'm with you, Cal. I totally get it.
You know, the only reason why I even call my half-sisters is so people realize that, you know, they have a different living father still versus my current deceased father.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Sorry, I was just distracted by chat there. Yeah, that sounds neat, Rowan. I agree, it sounds neat. And hello, Eli. Good to see you. Yes, make sure you type in !raffle to get in on the raffle. There will be 3 today. I'm going to check and see how much time is left. Probably getting pretty close.
It'd help if I could spell raffle right the first time.
Esong, good to see you. How are you? Welcome.
Hi, Esong.
You have been missed, but it's good to see you. Okay, yes. So, okay, and another thing that somebody said, they were commenting, and I don't remember who it was because it was a while ago, about they liked how it says Toy Soldier Saga on the book the way it does on the website. Okay, so the website is actually designed, as most of you World Anvilites probably know. It's a theme that comes with some of the preset themes for World Anvil. It's called Galaxy Anvil, but it was the best fit with the combination of kind of fantasy style colors and a space opera look for what I'm trying to write. And one of the things that I've had real trouble with is pitching it, because explaining it to people has been a shit show. People just don't get it because it's so weird and that it's a combination of the two, right? I found that presenting it as space opera first was more successful than presenting it as fantasy first. And the reason why I found that out was because of the World Anvil website. So I decided that I was going to steal that whole hawk and use it as my branding, and that is why it says that, like the website, so that it can provide a consistent look. The font up top, where it says, even in the stars, war is no great adventure, right? That is in the same font, which I specifically asked what it was called, and in the light red in that as well, so that it would create that consistency. Because people who are indie authors out there, or people who are thinking about becoming indie authors, a consistency of branding is important, right, Author Goddess?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Most of my life is copy pasting.
Yeah, pretty much. Because when you promo everything on social media, you got to copy paste everything all the time.
Yeah, and pre-writing it, you make sure you get it right, and then everything's a consistent message across the board. It's fabulous.
Yeah, yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, so I'm not sure where to go from here. Do we need a break, guys? We're at close to, let's see, it's been more than an hour. Do we need a quick break, or is everyone good?
I'm good.
I'm fine either way.
Okay, cool.
We could
Sleeping
talk
kitty.
about your world building.
Okay. What would you like to talk about in terms of the world building?
Um, holy crap! Where did you get? Okay, where did you get the idea for the cosmic trees?
Okay, combination of things. Um, Obviously, it's a consistent trope of high fantasy that there are some versions of trees of life, usually coming from, like every pagan mythology that's out there has one. There's even the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life as described in Jewish mysticism, right? So that was part of it. The other part, well, the world tree, right? Yggdrasil. I was like, well, what would a world tree be like? Well, maybe it's literally a world tree, right? And in part, again, it was influenced by Spelljammer. They had their ships were also plants for their elves. They weren't seeds, but they were a kind of plant. There's been lots of plant ships, right, in various science fiction, and that's one of the things that they ran with. And they had a brief thing about something called a starleaf tree, which is not at all like this tree, but I would be lying that if I said that it didn't inspire it in some way, that it wasn't an influence, right? So that's where I think all those three things came together in my head.
Isn't it cool when that happens?
Yes, you know
Get a
all
whole
about
bunch
it.
of things that just, well, yeah, you start with like this core idea, and then all of a sudden you add this little thing from over here, and you add this little thing from over here, and you add this little thing from over here, and then you have a brand new thing.
Exactly, right? Like you were saying earlier, there's really no such thing as an original idea anymore. Every story has been told, it's just not been told the way you tell it.
Yep. Yeah. I I did not come on this show expecting to be an interviewer.
You don't have
I'm
to be.
sorry.
You have no obligation to be. We're hanging out.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Esong
Okay, so we
says,
do have.
question, what's the current schedule for the Kickstarter release? It starts June 15th. That is a Tuesday. We will be doing a launch stream. I will be taking over the channel that day. You will not get Ask an Old GM that week on Tuesday, right? And and it ends July 15th. So if, okay, so yes, that means it will run so that it overlaps fucking everything, right? It will overlap Writer's Conduit, which is happening from June 25th to 27th. It will overlap part of Summer Camp, and it will overlap part of Game of Tomes, the Tourney of Tales. I might be dead at the end of this. But, and the reason why, okay, now you're going to say, why the hell did you do that to yourself, Sable? Okay, so I did this to myself because, A, in order to get everything out for the September publishing date, which is carefully chosen based on the fact that it is one of the best times of year to publish. For some reason, books published in early September tend to be more successful than books that are not published in early September. I think, what is it, March is the other good month there, Author Goddess?
Um,
Thank you for the
yeah,
follow there.
it kind of.
Hey, Budaquake, hi! Welcome. Mr. Twinkle is here. And he followed. Thank you very much. Sorry, go ahead. I heard a dingy. I had to respond. So
Yeah, I think March is the other good time. Yeah, it must be noted that this is not at all a science of release dating. It's a guess at best. There are just trends that we are allowed to follow. Yay us!
oh no, that's
But
totally fine.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. You're right. That's part of the problem with publishing. I've found that this is true and I'm sure you have too, right? In both independent and traditional publishing, the whole damn industry is completely fucking opaque.
Well, it's not even opaque. It's just there. It's like weather. I don't think that unless you are a chaos theory mathematician, you can create a formula that will correctly analyze the market to ideally situate your book release.
Yeah. Anything. Oh no, go ahead.
As a reader and a person who lives remotely, I can tell you exactly why it is most likely that these are the best times, because spring and fall is when people stock up on books for the next couple of months for various reasons.
Makes sense. I hadn't thought about that.
Winter reading is, important, right? And then in the spring, you got summer holidays and you're buying books for your kids to read over the holidays because you want them to be, stay engaged and busy, or stuff for you to read while you go on your vacation and you're relaxing, right? These are the reasons why spring and fall are good times to release books. Because people are looking for something new at that time.
What is this vacation you speak of?
Yeah, writers don't get a vacation. No, we work all the time. Our vacation is writing the project we've been putting on the back burner, right? That's our vacation.
Like I said, as a sort of hobby writer and a DM and stuff, I get that. But, most people, the vast majority of the world that is not writers, have these time periods where they plan for taking a big holiday.
Makes sense. Yep. Kel's like, yeah, even when we're not actually writing, we're still working. God, if only all my time could be spent writing instead of all the other fucking work I have to do to make a writing career work. That would be awesome.
The number of times that I have utilized a road trip to have long conversations with my husband about certain things that I'm planning, and I just start talking, and then all of a sudden I go, oh, I know what I'm gonna do with this plot. Then he makes me tell him because he doesn't like spoilers, and then I tell him, and he's like, "Oh, everybody's gonna hate you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah. Yep.
This sounds vaguely familiar. I seem to recall more than one road trip where me and Sable either plotted against players or against our her husband, who was our game master at the time.
Oh yeah. Right. Or I was writing and I was bouncing ideas off of her.
Yep.
She's done that work a lot,
Yep.
actually. Mr. Twinkle is a
I
very
am
similar
a
book too.
really great idea bounce.
Yeah, definitely. It's true. Hello,
If you are
Akimotos. I
stuck,
saw you. Welcome. Thank you for coming. And Esong says, spring break, start of school, so parents have more free time now that their kids are gone and kids are trying to get books. That said, I'm surprised the books published for summer aren't more popular. Me too, right? And it's actually I don't know, maybe people are thinking about, going camping instead of reading, but why you can't do both, I would, but
I do.
yeah, I do when I go camping, which I try not to do anymore because my allergies kick my ass, but yeah, right? Yeah, it's, yeah, I don't know why either, but it's a thing that everybody in publishing knows, right? By the way, there's very little actual data out there about anything in publishing, right? It's all stuff that people know, right? It is known, right? One of the things that it is known in traditional publishing is that science fiction and fantasy is on the decline. Now, everybody out there is going, what the fuck are you even talking about? In the era of
Yeah.
Game of Thrones and The Expanse, and are you serious? That's what they think. If you notice how you go into the bookstores these days, and the science fiction and fantasy section gets smaller and smaller, and in the darker and darker corner, and half of it is Star Wars books and Warhammer 40K and franchises like that. Have you noticed that? Right? Why is that? Because publishers think that people aren't buying science fiction and fantasy. Of course, I don't know what the hell is the matter with them because, first of all, science fiction and fantasy are some of the most popular categories on Amazon. Ooh, look, traditional publishing is not doing as well there because independent publishing has been doing stuff there, right? And then you go over to the young adult section, right, which gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And what is every plot? About 80% of them are what? Science fiction and
Vampires.
fantasy. Right? What's that?
Vampires and
Vampires?
werewolves.
Pretty much. Vampires, dystopias, yeah, right? Like,
Yeah.
come on. But they know this, right? So it becomes increasingly, okay, this leads to why I chose self-publishing for this as opposed to traditional publishing. I could have tried traditional publishing. I did try a couple of stories in various markets. Some of them did well. And then I ran into some other, like with the longer pieces, I ran into some resistance. And the thing about traditional publishing is that it has to be a business.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that most editors and publishers out there genuinely care about literature. They really do want to produce good quality books, but they got to worry about their bottom line. So it is not actually in their best interest to take risks. So it becomes increasingly more difficult for new writers to get published, for one thing, and it becomes increasingly more difficult if you have a weird idea. Remember, I said my idea is weird. It doesn't fit nicely into various boxes that people expect checked off. So so that was part of it, right? The other part was that there's such an extended universe around it, as you guys all know, because you've watched me world build on it for the past year, that see, the other thing with traditional publishing is that everything is licensed, right? You have to negotiate the video rights, you have to negotiate the movie rights, you have to negotiate the audio rights, you have to negotiate the licensing RPG rights. I don't want to negotiate any of that. I want it, right? Because there's already so much that's been created for it, both from, people who've been invested, like, Rowan, who's like basically an old school fan at this point, right? And, Aaron, who has invested all of his time into it, that I would be doing them a disservice if I suddenly said, oh no, it's trademarked, you can't, right? So I don't want to do that. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead, Rowan, and then I'm going to ask Author Goddess a question because, yeah.
Okay. Especially since for after the Toy Soldier game saga is reached the end of its campaign, and I'm already putting together notes. Actually, I intend to write about what happens after. Because I do believe you've revealed this information already. Xerxes Radiant is deceased, and what Von Vin does about that.
Yeah, that's good. See, so fan fiction's already happening, right? Although it's, I actually that's more like licensed Star Wars books and stuff because she's like intimately involved and it will be official, right? So.
And there will be lots of discussion with you and Aaron as things progress. Obviously.
Okay, that's going to lead me to another topic. But first, I'm going to talk to Author Goddess because Author Goddess, like me, right, has experience in both traditional and independent publishing. We are what is known as a hybrid author, right? What are your thoughts about what I said in terms of that observation? Do you find that that's the case? Do you have a different experience? I'm curious.
With as admittedly niche my sales have been, I am extraordinarily thrilled by the fact that my publisher for the Runespell series has not just looked at me and said, oh God, another one? We can't keep supporting you on this. So apparently the books are at least making enough to make it worth it for them to continue to publish me. As for everything else, it's like there are reasons to choose a traditional publisher and there are reasons to choose to self-publish, and a lot of the time it comes down to is it worth it to engage in the long-term effort of getting it published, or is it worth it to spend the money to get it done yourself and publish it faster? Which for romance and erotica, the answer is almost always yes. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's like there are just some books that it's like, well, because if you look at, I'm a big fan of the Writers Market, a lovely annual book that comes out that tells you all of the people who are accepting submissions, et cetera, et cetera. There's an online version, and of course there's other online resources and such as well. But when you look at the requirements for a lot of these publishers and magazines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, a lot of the time I end up looking at them and thinking more on how I can write a story to fit their requirements than realizing that I have any stories that they would accept.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because, like you, I tend to play around with tropes and genres quite a bit. And that doesn't mean that I can't. Well, yeah. But it doesn't mean that I couldn't sell to a publisher. It's just that it would be harder for me to find a publisher to do that because you have publishers who are like, we only want fantasy. Okay, honey, first of all, fantasy is a huge genre with about a metric ton of subgenres. What kind of fantasy are you looking for? Because I got YA fantasy, I've got sci fantasy, I've got Weird West, I've got thank you for that inspiration, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
I've got ghost stories, I've got essentially these almost Star Trekian kind of, they could be science fiction except there's just too much unreality involved. So
Right.
sci fantasy, of course, again. But it's like when you say you accept fantasy, what kind of fantasy? Even urban fantasy is hard for me to sell because technically what I write is urban fantasy. Technically what I write is also paranormal thriller. Technically, when I say urban fantasy, a whole lot of people think that it's a chick who bones everybody and is a Mary Sue. And it's just, it can be very exhausting trying to find out if this is an actual opportunity or if it's just going to be another thing where when people see it, they're like, well, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. Because they can't, they also have a finite space in order to explain what they're looking for. I understand that. But that also means that they have to use catch terms that might not mean what everybody thinks it means. And they might have different nuances that they're looking for that it's just it's a cluster. And so and that is the story of why I don't submit to things anymore.
I mean, it depends, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're inspired by whatever the requirement was. You're like, oh, I like that anthology idea. That's a cool theme. Bing, I have an idea. Then it's worth it, right?
Right.
But yeah, selling a raw novel is really hard. And here's the other thing. Okay, actually, I'm going to shut up for a minute because everyone's like, the raffle's done, the raffle's done. So I will draw the prize, and then we will continue. The winner of the ebook copy of Under the World from E. Christopher Clark is Eli Quake. Yay! Congratulations, Eli.
Woo-hoo.
You've won like 3 things on this channel now, I think, and I don't think I've sent you any of them. So please, like, poke me and remind me what I owe you. Because I want to make sure that I give it to you. There is a code to redeem to get this book that Chris gave to me. I will be happy to pass it on to you, and awesome that you won. Yay! All right, so I'm going to clear that out, and I'm going to start the next raffle here.
Raffle, 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 raffle.
All right, what am I missing? Yes, so this is a book by Laura VAB. I have no idea how to pronounce her last names, but it's like, it's hard for me, and I'm stupid, and I feel bad for it, and she's a really popular writer, too, so I'm just dumb that way. But anyway, Laura VAB is how this community knows her. She is an Andalite streamer. She does some really great stuff on the writing business. If you're looking to get into writing, you want to watch her regular show, right? Because she has people on to do interviews and, talks about different things that you want to know if you want to get into writing and publishing. So it's really good stuff. She also has a YouTube channel. She gave me a copy of her book to give away, Shard and Shield. It is called. The raffle for that starts right now, I think. I don't remember how long I was setting this for. I think this one's set for half an hour. So, okay. All right, so let's see here. Catching up on the back chat. Right. Oh yeah, Christmas shoppers, says Daz, is a thing. It's not a good time to release a book, though. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because the word hasn't gotten out about it unless you release in September, right? For people who want to get it by Christmas. But I mean, you do get a secondary sales boost, but it's not a good time to release books. And I think that's because everybody's like paying attention to the holiday, not what's coming up or something to do, right? But yeah, in order to make that target date for September, which is people generally believe that there is a trend that is one of the best times to publish books. It certainly has been true of me, right? I have had, the stuff that tends to come out in September has better success, right? So in order to make that, the absolute last date I could have the Kickstarter funds by was the beginning of August. It takes about 2 weeks to clear through all the shit that it has to go through from the time that the Kickstarter ends, if you're funded, to the time you get the money, right? I know this from my previous 2 Kickstarters. So, yeah, that was the absolute minimal time that I could have because I got to pay people to do the layout and I got to pay for promotion and I got to do all that, right? So it had to be done by the middle of July, right? That is when it had to end. So that is why I am overlapping everything in the last 2 weeks of the Kickstarter, and I'm going to lose my mind, but I will survive. And I am a masochist because it's feast or famine in this business, right? That's the other thing I've noticed is that, I do nothing for months, and that, that's good because then I get writing done, and then everything happens all at once. I get no writing done. We're in the no writing months right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then people are like, "Oh, don't you have a writing schedule?" Which month? Okay, pick a month.
I do a whole class on how to find time
Yeah.
in between things, like when you're sitting at the supermarket, because sometimes that's all the time you got. Yeah.
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 That's why I stare into space a lot. I'm just like, I'm gonna think about my book. It's
Yep.
okay.
Because it's relaxing. Yes. Even though my character is currently being horribly traumatized, it's still more relaxing than the stress that I currently have to deal with. Yeah.
It's still better than dealing with people.
Yeah. Daz, that's what I do these days.
And this is
Camping in a camper with antihistamines. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I was just catching up on chat.
And this is why Rowan lives in the middle of nowhere, because then she doesn't have to deal with people unless she really wants to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm being awfully generous with the idea of standing in line, because, yeah, that would imply I actually go places where I have to stand in line.
I try to avoid it. These days I don't go anywhere where I have to stand in line. Yeah. Aegon says, I think so much of the science fiction and fantasy is coming out as young adult that it pulls from the science fiction and fantasy shelves. That might be true, especially because there are systemic things that are difficult in traditional publishing. Author Goddess was inferring one of them, and she never got a chance to finish because I had to pull the raffle, and I just remembered that that's what she was talking about. Technically, the Rune Spell series, which is amazing, and you should check it out if you have not done so. I am a legitimate fan of these books. They're awesome, right? It's urban fantasy, but she still has a hard time selling it. Tell them why.
Okay, so it's urban fantasy because it takes place in urban environments and it is a fantasy book. That is literally the definition of urban fantasy. However, urban fantasy has an implication these days that it's really just the other side of the coin for paranormal romance. Well, my main character doesn't have a romantic subplot at all. And I did that intentionally. I created a character that is not I can't even say that she would not have a date. It's just not relative to the story, so I don't write it. The romance has nothing to do with her existence in this world, in this situation, so it's not part of the story at all.
Right.
But she's also she's actually more of I was heavily influenced as a fan of the Dresden series in creating this character, where I was like, because I love the fact that Dresden ends up in the hospital like every single book. So I was like, wouldn't that be cool if, I did a character that was an actual pagan instead of just like a wizard. I'm a hairy wizard.
Nice.
And then the other thing is she's pretty. She ends up having to fight demons. She is also in her 30s and out of shape. She is not a young adult character. She is not a chosen one character. I make it very clear in several sections of the book that she kind of had this quest thrust upon her. Like, she was the first person to stumble into being the person to accomplish this quest. It wasn't that she was chosen.
Right.
It wasn't that, you know, she was more like wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, she was the first
chosen.
person who showed up in the wrong place at the wrong time that happened to have the qualifications.
Right.
Is what it was.
So
yeah.
So it's like all of the tropes that make an urban fantasy as a genre, not just as a definition, I kind of stood on its head.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's urban fantasy except for this and this and this and this and this. And I'm not even going to talk about the number of times I've had people say, yeah, but a female character who's not in a relationship.
Yeah, I have a response to that, and it's a very rude gesture. Okay? Why the fuck should it matter as to the gender of the main character as to whether or not they have a fucking relationship? You know? That is bullshit. I am not defined by my relationships. My relationships are important to me, but they do not define me, so fuck you. Take me on my, this, right? I am not a Siamese, we don't use that term anymore. I'm not the conjoined twin, joined at the brain with my partners. I think for myself, right? And so do they. I don't take responsibility for what they say, and I only take responsibility for what I say, and they aren't allowed, right? So, Sorry,
I've been watching some videos by their trans YouTubers talking about gender, which is so insightful. Oh my gosh, everybody should do that. But one of the things that came up actually kind of shined light on why this is, and it's because in media, you can see this with race as well. We code things in media as a shortcut, and it's understandable because, holy crap, if you have a guy twirling a mustache, then it's a villain. Okay, that's a shortcut to explaining that this guy's a villain. You don't have to spend 3 hours on a backstory. It's a villain. We use these shortcuts. We use these codings as a way to not make this a holy crap Tolkien-esque, 3 billion page extravaganza that we have to explain all over the place.
Yep.
Did we just bork? Okay, I'll go ahead and stop then.
Oh, did we?
Until the thing. I think the internet. Did your internet bork? Did my internet bork? Maybe it was just my internet that worked.
It looks like we're running on my end here, so must be yours.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so it must be on my end. But
thanks, though.
So there are shortcuts that we use, and you are of course familiar with the white hat, black hat concept.
Which I use.
This was a shortcut used.
Yep.
The good guys wear the white hats, the bad guys wear the black hats. Well, the years and years of us growing up with this media has not only it's created these stereotypes that we bring into the real world that reflect these shortcuts. And a lot of these shortcuts are not favorable to people of color. They are not favorable to non-cisgender. They are not favorable to non-neurotypical, and they are not favorable to female presenting. This is all fact. There have been studies done on them. I've seen reference to them, and I've even seen a few of the studies, and I'm not going to reference it. Google it, okay? Google it. But the point is, thank you, Google, for turning on for that. The point is that there has been certain codings relating to female characters. And one of those codings is that a female villain does not have the ability to sustain a romantic relationship.
Oh, interesting. I see.
So what that means is that coding has then been taken, and now if you can't sustain a romantic relationship or are not shown as sustaining a romantic relationship, then people will not try to empathize with the female character. Now, I don't think this is necessarily true. I think that there are other effective ways to create a sense of empathy and connection between the reader and these characters. But that particular connection has been made so clearly, particularly in mainstream movies, that you have to have a female character has to have a relationship. That's just like the whole mindset of the industry because of this coding.
Yeah.
So
And
it's interesting. It's also bullshit. It's interesting. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, because now it's like, not only am I like subverting these tropes, but I am creating an entire series where people love my character, and she literally has no romantic relationship, and that could change people's minds, in a subconscious level about whether or not that coding is accurate.
yeah,
I'm doing the world a service here, okay?
I think so. I really think
Yes,
so. I love.
absolutely you are.
By the way, is it Nicola or Nicola?
It rhymes with the cough drop. Nicola.
Okay. I love Nicola. Yeah. That is the protagonist of the Rune Spell series. She is amazing. She is a lot like me. And
she is a hot mess, okay?
Yeah, that's right. No, she's a hot mess. I'm a hot mess. I love that she's a hot mess. And she still manages to be a hero because she's a hot mess, actually. Not just even in spite of, but because. Right? I love that.
Yeah. She does tend to jump off of cliffs screaming, I don't want to die.
Yeah, this is a fact. Yes, that is the kitty. That is Ash Kitty. He was the really sketchy stray. But he is clearly made himself quite at home now. When he decides he's going out, I'll give you kitty tax. Okay. But, okay, so to answer your question in a roundabout, or your thought there in a roundabout way, Aegon, which I agree with, part of the problem is that women writers tend to get coded as young adult, even if they're not. Right? And that's part of this systemic thing about the expectation of female characters and women authors within, and this is female coded, by the way, and often it affects people who are not gender conforming as well, right? So not binary types, right? So it's because women are often infantilized, women authors are also infantilized, and we are assumed to be writing young adult if we have feelings in our story at all, right? So unless we do something like, cause catastrophic graphic violence like I have done, or like serious mental trauma like Author Goddess has done. So, yes. Right. They will not be putting our books in the young adult section.
Well, and there, to a certain degree, a lot of these issues and a lot of these coding situations and stereotypes about both female characters and women authors is because the market literally looks at the market looks at the industry with a male gaze. We're kind of placed into these categories based on what a patriarchal society values. And I think one of the reasons that you and I, Sable, really, really break these tropes down is because we're like Wonder Woman. We're not doing this for the male gaze.
Nope.
And so it's not understandable to a lot of people who only see things through the male gaze and yes, I'm using the phrase male gaze. I'm not saying all men use the male gaze, because there are plenty of men who sobbed right along with me in the theater with Wonder Woman. Thank you very much.
Yep.
It's a good movie. but there is a certain aspect of, we're not creating this for that perspective.
Right.
We are not creating this for that patriarchal attitude. We are creating this for people like us who, I am hetero-identifying, cisgender, et cetera. But the thing is, like, to me, the concepts of gender and sexuality are so tertiary in my sense of self-identity as to be irrelevant.
Yep.
Like, it's like, oh yeah, I do like men, I guess. Okay, sure, let's go with that. But it's like, it doesn't matter to me. So it's not the thing that I'm prioritizing. And you, of course, have the whole LGBTQ spectrum going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna tattoo letters on your forehead. There you go.
I've got a couple of them. You can put them on my head. Yep.
Maybe henna, not tattoo.
No,
that would be weird.
I'll own some of those too.
Right. So
Probably about the exact same one Sable does.
Yeah, pretty close. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, you were saying.
So
yeah?
for
and then Rowan had something she was going to say, and I hear you, but go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah.
For us, it's not about that perspective, and therefore that perspective is not going to be the driving force of our books.
Right.
And okay, I'm done. I'll shut up now.
Before Rowan starts, I'll just make one comment there. Because my book is military fantasy or military science fiction, depending on how you look at it, I actually have quite a lot of military fans. I was surprised to discover that this was the case. This brings me to my brief, not too long. One of the guys who plays in our Toy Soldiers game is Chris. Chris is a guy who was part of that original Spelljammer community back when, and he was looking at things when I was publishing bits of it on my blog as fan fiction, right? So he tracked me down after 10 years and said, "Are you finished yet? I need to read the rest of this story." Right? And I keep hearing from that. Now, Chris was, he's retired or, ex-United States Navy, right? I have readers who are in the Air Force. I have readers who are in, the Marines, right? And I know they've been around for a while. The truth is that there is lots for them to like in this series, because I've really tried to get it right. I've not been in the military, but I've done a lot of research on it, and my partners are a sailor and a soldier, right? So I ask them a lot of questions, and I do a lot of reading and a lot of research, and I try to get it right, and I work very, very hard at it. So there shouldn't be anything in there that is blatantly, obviously, this person has no idea what a military is about, for, or does, which I've seen a lot in books, and it irritates me now too, right? So there's lots of them to like, and the truth is that if I used my initials, right, or said my name was Dawn, right, D-O-N, I would do fine. Like, it would not be hard for me to sell this book. They would classify me as military science fiction. Bain would publish me in a heartbeat, and away I'd go, right? And I know it. But I've made a political choice to use my actual real name, right? So, and I've done that because I am tired of there being a glass ceiling, and I'm going to break it. Okay, I'm sorry. Rowan, go ahead. While you're talking, just a second. Yeah, no. Go ahead and start. I'll be right back. I'm just going to grab the kitty for the kitty tax so I can let him out.
Yeah. Okay. While we're on the topic of, no relationships necessary and stuff, honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time is Pale Rider. And you want to know why it's my favorite movie? Because at the end, Clint Eastwood's character rides away and leaves the girl. Just leaves.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, if you look at it, the top rated movie on um, what is it, Rotten Tomatoes, for like the longest time. It was like either a 99 or 100% rating forever, was Shawshank Redemption. And there's
Yeah.
no, there's no romantic relationship in that.
Nope.
You can argue that there's a bromance, and that's
Yeah.
fine, but it doesn't have to have the it doesn't have to have that kind of connection. But of course,
No.
that does tend to be more forgivable if all the characters are guys. So,
Yeah.
I do have a romantic subplot. My character's a guy. I'm breaking the rules the other way.
Which works for me, but seriously, that was one of the best westerns as far as I was concerned, because he just rides away and leaves the girl standing there.
Yep. Break all the tropes. Okay, guys, I'm gonna
Yeah.
quickly go through. Oh no, if you had more to say, go ahead, Rowan. I don't mean to rush you.
Nope.
Right? No, you were good, or
I
did?
was done.
Okay, all right, because I'm
I'm
going to
good.
catch up a bit on some of the stuff in the chat here, and then it being 4 o'clock, this is about the time that I figured I wanted to run the Kickstarter video preview. So hopefully, I'm going to shut down like my whole, like all the browser windows probably before I do it or something, because make sure. But let's see here. Has the raffle ended? That's the other thing I need to check. Nope, it's got 7 minutes for this raffle, guys. So if you would like a copy of Sword and Shard, or Shards and Shields by Laura VAB, then get in on the raffle now. Okay, Cal Backwin here said, I'm not sure how to classify the book I'm working on. It's definitely fantasy, but there's also elements of magitech, absurdist humor, and splatterpunk. This sounds like it might be weird fiction to me, but I would have to read it to know, and I still haven't yet. Please resend me the link, because I do want to read it. I just lost it in all the insanity that has been going on, but I really do want to read it, so please do send it to me again, because it's like back in the Discord conversation, right? So, let's see. Okay, yeah, Buddha Quake said something that was sticking in my brain, and I totally missed it. Okay, Eli got the Weird West stuff, so that's good, right? Yeah. Oh, Dazzlecat asked, "What do you all think of the new serial market?" Right. You're probably talking about Vela, which is a thing that Amazon is doing to publish serial fiction, right? I imagine. What do you think about it, there, Author Goddess?
I actually haven't looked into it yet.
Okay.
None of my larger works really go well into serial, so it's not really something that I'm kind of looking at, but I will be checking it out eventually. Honestly, I'm a little leery about getting into yet another Amazon thing because of the way Amazon has treated authors in the past. I kind of get the feeling that there is going to be some way that they will find to screw authors over yet again. But, that's my cynicism showing through.
Yeah. Okay, Amazon is an evil corporate bastard, right? They're evil, and every writer in the world has to deal with them. We have no choice. They have a monopoly. Even if you are in traditional publishing, your publisher has to deal with Amazon. We still have to deal with Amazon. Amazon is driving down the prices of books to a point where it is becoming very difficult for writers to actually make a living at this. None of us really make a living on the book sales, guys, right? If we're making a living at this, it's all the side gigs. It's not the book, right? Which is sad and depressing, right? They continue to screw over their authors. Their rules specifically forbid, unionizing or organizing in any way, so we have no power when dealing with them. And they're a bunch of assholes. Okay. That being understood, everybody shops at Amazon. If you want to sell books, you have to sell at Amazon. You have no choice. Nobody will ever hear of you if you do not sell at Amazon. Buy from other companies if you can, guys. Seriously. Okay, so monopolies suck. That being,
Indeed.
yeah. Okay, so that being said, I might still do Vella. And it's not available to me yet because they cannot be bothered to do it for people in Canada, right? It's entirely being tried out in their US market first. They never, by the way, they don't do, you think they treat US authors bad. Wait till I tell you how they treat international authors, man. Holy crap. There's some,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, Amazon started out selling books for a reason. That is that's their whole thing. They created themselves as the go-to place for books, which was a huge need at the time. And they understood that that was going to be the draw. But like with gas stations and gas, that's not where they make their money.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that. So they will drive down the price to draw people in to go buy their, their
Light
I don't know,
bulbs and cereal.
patio furniture sets. I don't know.
Right.
I buy so much stuff on Amazon, I can't think of anything right now. Yeah, but that's their business model. They're making money on the stuff in the convenience store.
Okay, I've got a couple things to say about Amazon here that might give you guys some hope. All right. Rumor is that the American government is beginning to eye Amazon the same way they used to eye Microsoft. Remember when they made Microsoft divide everything up and
They should
split
have
Apple
done that
off into its own company?
ago. They should have done it years ago.
But they should have, but now they're in the spotlight now, is what I'm saying.
Here's hoping.
Probably sometime within the next 5 years, they're going to make them, break things down some.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect, but, there is a potential light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
Because it took them about 5 years to bust Microsoft back, apart once they started looking at them. And I'm saying they started looking at them here in the last year.
Antitrust laws are on the books. They exist for a reason. What Amazon does breaks many of them, right? And, Microsoft broke many of them, and that's why they were forced to break up. Next they should be eyeing Disney that just bought MGM, But anyway, yeah. Okay.
Yes, but when will they destroy Spectrum?
Spectrum?
Internet service provider.
Oh,
they
God, yes.
are not entirely a monopoly, but they are consistently rated as the crappiest in customer service and regular service and pretty much all around, but they're pretty much the only choice almost everywhere.
Yeah.
I hate Spectrum.
Every one of my American friends is having trouble with their internet, and I'm pretty sure those bastards are why. Yeah. Aegon says they never get broken up as long as lobbyists exist. It was international pressure that broke Microsoft, and international pressure is now breaking. The waffle is finished. So, yeah, international pressure is finally on Amazon too. So let's draw the raffle. The winner is Esong. Congratulations! You win a copy of Laura VAB's book, Shards and Shield, right? And contact me for the info about how to contact her. Guys, if you win a prize, get a hold of me in Discord and remind me that I owe you a prize. Because I'm like Janet on World Anvil. I'm doing too many things. I will forget. You need to remind me because I'm an idiot. Please do, okay? I want you to have your prizes, so let me know what I owe you. Okay, Esong, speaking of, was asking a question that I wanted to address here. Oh, I guess I better start the third raffle there. Okay, so the third raffle we're going to do. Right. let's see here. Yeah, okay, so we've done this once before. We're going to do it once again. This is actually one of the Kickstarter package options. So I'm kind of, promoting the Kickstarter here, but there is a complete package available of the Toy Soldier Saga stories that exist so far. We'll go for 45 minutes here. This will be the last raffle, and then we'll raid. Right, because we got 45 minutes left of this thing, and that's about it. So, time flies when you're having fun. I'm having a great time talking to you guys.
Yeah.
So,
It's been fun.
there we go. The complete package of Toy Soldier Saga stories that have been published so far is away. If you are under the age of majority in wherever you are, or the age of consent, you cannot win Eye of the Storm. I will not give it to you. It is an erotica piece. You are not allowed to have it. I am not allowed to give it to you. Right? I will find something else.
I know that one.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Author Goddess and I were in an anthology together called Chasing Fireflies, a summer romance anthology, and I wrote that story for that anthology, and she wrote her lovely, wonderful story, which I still love, Scarborough Fair.
I remember there was one person who did a review for the anthology who was like, I don't know where Eye of the Storm came from, and I don't know what to do with it, but I liked it.
I remember that review. That was so funny. Yeah, I remember that. They were like, I don't understand science fiction, fantasy, hurt brain, don't get it. Hi, Stretch. Good to see you.
Yep.
Oh, Esau liked it. Oh, great. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, she won a copy of that. So that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I haven't had a chance to catch up with you. I don't go seek out people who go, so what'd you think? Right? I'll never do that. Right? So, but I always love to hear it. If you guys did like it and you let me know, it's always wonderful. It's always brightens my day. So, any writers like that, by the way, you're not wasting their time by telling them you love their book.
Yeah, most authors are not going to ask you if you liked it. Most authors are going to sit in a corner crying until you tell them you liked it.
No, I'm not anymore. I've got a thick enough skin now, right? I'm like, I don't write for everybody. Like you said, you're writing for people like us, right? So if it's not your cup of tea, okay, no judgment and no hard feelings, right? If it is your cup of tea, I love to know that. So
I'm drinking coffee.
Awesome. I'm drinking coffee too, and I'm almost out, which is bad. Esong says,
I'm drinking apple pie moonshine.
Apple pie moonshine. See, she's got the right idea. She's drinking alcohol. This is what I should have been doing. Okay. Esong says, I'm curious, after all the talks you have, the World Anvil interviews, what is the prep budget for the project? I didn't even realize that was a thing. Okay. So, here's how it is. Okay. Technically, when you're independent publishing, you can put together a document in Word. You can upload it to Amazon or a bunch of other companies now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know who's saying bye. Bye Akimoto's or bye Cal. Either way, bye. Right? You can just upload it. You can choose their pre-made covers, right, and layouts, and you can publish the book. It doesn't cost you a dime. It also will never sell a copy. It's garbage. It looks like garbage. People don't want to buy garbage, right? It's probably not edited.
Yeah, their covers are
right. So, yeah, you can publishing indie publishing is relatively easy. Getting anywhere with it is hard. In order to do that, you have to do all the things that a publishing company used to do for you. I will say that because they don't even do all of this anymore. A lot of this you still have to come up with yourself, right? And
#fact.
Right? So all right, Siobhan is back. Welcome back.
Hello.
How was your second stab?
Second stab was not too bad.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yay, you've been shot.
That's right.
Yeah, but I'm not allowed to get something to go shooting with because I'm not in West Virginia.
Damn it.
Wait, what?
That was kind of left field.
West Virginia is offering raffles for anybody who gets their first shot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so
I live in the wrong state.
no doubt. Yeah. Okay, so right. Okay, so in order to okay, so there's expenses along the way, right? To get somebody who actually will edit your book usually costs money. Who's any good at it, right?
Yeah.
What this cost me instead was time, right? Sarah and I have made a deal that we are going to edit each other's books. We're both happy enough with each other's editing. And I think she did a fucking smashing job, by the way. I'd just like to say that, right? That we're going to edit for each other at this point, right? Which I'm behind on because it's like sort of calculated by a rough word count. And this is a big book. So I owe her a bit. But you know, she didn't have a deadline, so I'll be getting right on that as soon as the Kickstarter is over. But okay, so you have to do that. You have to pay for an editor who knows what they're doing, right? You have to pay for layout because setting a book up for an EPUB either requires an endless saga of frustration and learning or getting somebody who knows better than you to do it. Right now, if I have to learn it, like I've tried to figure it out and there's still things I can't figure out that I can't sort out, I'd rather pay a professional. I'm going to do that, right? I will be paying Courtney Cannon of Fiction Atlas Press, who is the one who put out our anthology that we were both in, right? So, okay, so you got to do that, right? Then there's cover art, which I commissioned and paid for because, like I said, you can't find my book in public domain art. Doesn't exist, right? And why do you need a good cover? Because it's like a movie poster, right? It tells you what the book's about. It gives you an expectation of genre. It gives you some idea of some of the events that you can expect, right? You probably can't see it on this image right now, but Shondar is pretty beaten up in this picture. This is a scene from the book. It's a bit of a shit show happening at that time. So, you want to know that, right? You want to know that there's going to be, he's in a uniform. It looks a bit like Age of Sail. It looks a bit like Star Trek, right? You're thinking, okay, is this Age of Sail in space? It says A Few Good Elves, so there must be some fantasy element. He's pretty beaten up. It's probably warfare. There you go. You know what my book, loosely, you've got an expectation, right? So you got to pay for that, right? Then there's all the setup fees in various places. If you don't want to set up with Amazon, then you can use an alternative. I use Ingram Spark. I publish everything but the Amazon version with Ingram Spark, and then I publish a separate version on Amazon. They have a setup fee that you got to pay, right? You have to buy copies of the book for yourself at a wholesale rate and then ship them to yourself in order to have them to sell at conventions and to your friends and whatever. And let me tell you guys, the US has a media rate, Canada does not. Shipping is fucking expensive here. It's ridiculously expensive, right? So, that took up a big part of my budget, right? There's the fulfillment of the Kickstarters. I also have to buy copies of the books with the money achieved from the Kickstarter that you guys order if you choose to support it and send you the book, right? I got to pay for that, right? I'm going to do bookmarks and postcards of the art that has been created for the Toy Soldier Saga, and I got to pay to print that, right? And then there's promotion, right? This time I have budgeted a blog tour service. It's the same one that Shy Red Fox used for her book release, right? I know Roxanne, who owns Bewitching Book Tours. We used to work together, like her too. We used to do stuff on Facebook promotions together, and she was very effective. Did some character interviews on her blog and, stuff like that. So I'm sure she's solid. She's inexpensive as far as the service goes, so I'm going to pay for that. And then budgeting advertising on Amazon, because I did a wide sweeping social media budget for advertising with Gunsmoke and Dragonfire. The only one that was worth a damn was Amazon. None of the rest of them yielded anything that I could tell, right? Including Goodreads, by the way. There's a real waste of money. Don't ever buy ads on Goodreads if you're an author, guys. It's not worth it.
Goodreads pissed me off.
Yeah, did they?
Okay, so their giveaways used to be free for the authors to do as long as you kept
Yes.
it like under a certain amount
Mhm.
and everything. And then they decided, well, you know what? We're going to make you give away one of your books, but we're also going to make you pay like $150, $200 for the pleasure of giving away one of your books. And I'm like,
Yes.
the hell you say?
Uh-huh. I'm like, I've got a
Yeah, screw
philosophy,
you.
right? My philosophy is if I'm the entertainment, you don't get to charge me money. Right?
Right?
That's my thing. If I'm going to a con and I'm presenting, I'd better at least get my admission and vending fees waived, right? If you're not willing to
Right?
do that, fuck you. I'm not going to entertain your guests for you, right? I refuse. Because there's so many people who are trying to take advantage of people trying to get the word out there, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so to answer the question, loosely giving my budget, this actually turned out to be a lot of money, right? It's more than I've ever asked for in a Kickstarter. I'm a little nervous about it. I'm going bigger with the promotion. I didn't buy cover art last time. I didn't do a blog tour. I had more audiobook rewards, which not really audiobook, but it was like me reading the story. And I learned that because it's difficult for me to complete that, I was delayed for completion for people for that. And I didn't want to do that again and leave people hanging, right? I feel that I owe an accounting to my backers or shareholders. They deserve an accounting of the books, right? So I lay out all the expenses. What I calculated I needed was $3,650 Canadian, right? So that is what the budget is for this project. That's exactly what it is, because I even included I've learned that there's about $350 to $500 worth of contingency fund required, because that's about what it costs when something goes wrong, which it always does. I've done 2 of these now and I know this, right? So yeah, so that's my total budget. You'll be able to see a complete breakdown when the Kickstarter goes live, because I've been complimented on my transparency with my finances before in previous projects, and that's why, because I do it, right? So that is what it costs to produce an independent book that has a small chance of success. Like, that's not even that's a small budget, right? That is, I have a hope,
But
right?
yeah, that's not even doing like the hardcore marketing stuff. That's yeah, because if you really want to guarantee you're going to get some good sales, then you want to do a book club.
Yep.
And those things are expensive. Oh my god.
Yeah, crazy, ridiculous expensive.
Yeah, I think for some genres they can run up over $1,000.
Maybe that'll be a stretch goal. We'll see how it goes, right? So yeah, I like I said, I'm a little nervous about it, but this is what my expenses are. I broke them down. So that is about what it costs us every time we put out a book, guys. That is what indie publishing costs, because if you want to make a living at it, right, at all.
I tend to do bare minimum on the marketing, which I get what I pay for, but I'm also on a very tight budget. And I would say that for the most part, I can guarantee spending about $500 just on a book release.
Yep.
And I mean, I do my own formatting too. Like, so if I'm putting up, and most of my self-published books are ebooks, so it's easy to adjust those. So it's not like a huge situation. Like, and with ebooks, I know there are people who agree and people who disagree, but I am very Spartan when it comes to my ebooks. You do not buy an ebook to get all of the fancy fonts and stuff. You buy an ebook to see how fast you can tap through the pages and consume the media.
Agreed 100%.
Yep.
It also makes things much more portable for those of us who do things like live in tiny houses.
Oh, so
If I
Diane,
owned every book that I wanted to read, oh my God.
I need a tiny home just for the library, and then I need another one.
Truth is, people to this day still prefer paper books on average, but ebooks exist for a reason. One is that it keeps books affordable, right? The fact is that you cannot, because of the increasing cost of printing and shipping, you cannot pocket sized paperbacks are almost a loss leader these days. They're just as expensive as trade paperbacks to print almost, right? So why wouldn't you buy a trade paperback if you're going to pay $15 for a pocketbook? But that's what they cost minimum, right? Like that's what it costs to print it.
Especially if you're doing print on demand.
Yeah.
Because you don't get the reduction for mass produced.
Yeah, and even mass produced, they're expensive to print like that. So so basically ebooks are taking over the pocketbook market, right? Which is fine, right? That's great. I'll work very hard to make a beautiful ebook for you, right? Because I know you'd prefer to have paper, and I know that if you had the money or the space, you would have paper, right? But maybe you don't, so I'll make a nice ebook for you, and maybe if you really love it, you'll invest in another one later, and that's fine, right? And if not, cool, you read it, tell your friends, if you liked it. Right?
I have a
sometimes
very...
there are bonuses that...
Go ahead.
Sometimes there's bonuses too that people put in ebooks now that you can't get in a paperback or a hard copy. Specialized media, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Recordings of songs and videos and, all sorts of really interesting stuff that there's just no way that it could be produced with any kind of reasonable expectation of profit if it was put in a traditional paper book.
Yeah.
Yes, Stretch, that was really Sorry,
I have a very specific reason for loving ebooks. It's because I read in bed and I read very fast. So I will get through, I'll get through a book in about 4 or 5 hours. Like a full novel, 4 or 5 hours.
Sounds about right.
That's not a problem for me. And then if I'm not ready to go to sleep, I would like another book now, but do I really want to get out of bed? Like, I have to think about getting out of bed just to get up and go to the bathroom when I find that comfy spot. Do I really want to get out of bed and shuffle over to wherever I have all of my books and try and find a book that I want to read? Do I really want to do that? Or worse yet, order a book and wait for a week. No, I would like a book now. I would like to not move to get my book.
Yeah,
I am the ultimate lazy reader in that regard.
There. I think she agrees with you.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, that's why ebooks are taking the place of pocketbooks, because what were pocketbooks other than
more portable
quick,
books?
consumable? Yeah, I mean, they're brain candy. You pop one in your mouth, you eat it, and then you pop another one in your mouth and you eat it. Don't actually eat the books, just saying. But that's the point. The point is not to have a book. The point is to consume the book.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I'd have like 4 books on my right beside my bed. I'd finish one and grab the next one without even having to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They taste so nice. Ew.
Aegon, I agree with you, right? got two sets of chat up here, right? Aegon says, I buy both when it's someone I really support, especially when it's giant ass books like the Stormlight Archive, where I'd rather carry the reboot than the 1,500 page book. My book's not that big. It won't be 1,500 pages, but it's pretty big. It's 154,000 words, this first one, by the way. Author Goddess suggested I might want to split it up. I said, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. So, right, just it's a big bang for your buck there, right? And yeah, but that's what most people do, right? Most people, I do it, right? I read books in ebook or at the library, and then I go, that was a fucking awesome book. I'm going to buy that book and keep it and read it again, right? And I do that, right? So, and I think most of us do, right? Daz said, she was talking earlier about marketing for Christmas, right? And she said, I meant to have a marketing plan for the Christmas season after the release, like a second release with an emphasis on the printed versions as Christmas gifts. We do that, right? I'm never on time for it, but most of us do that. We'll plan something like a, promotion for Black Friday or Cyber Monday, right? And get stuff out there and hopefully get some attention on it. But I don't know how this works because everybody's screaming for attention on the same day. So, but we try it. Yep. Oh, and I mention this, says Daz, because buying someone a real book has become a serious trend in gift giving, at least in my area. Oh, good to know.
Woohoo! Go Iceland. I mean,
the thing is for me, it's like, you want to get me a gift? Get me a book.
You can't go wrong.
Exactly.
My guilty pleasure is thriller and war stories and westerns. And if it's science fiction fantasy, I'll almost certainly love it. Right? There you go.
Yeah, I'm sci-fi, fantasy, or history. Give me something that's historically accurate, and God, I am in love.
Yeah. Okay, catching up on some chat stuff. Akimoto's. I have seen Rustler's Rhapsody. It's hilarious. Speaking of playing with the tropes of westerns, right? Cal said our comments about why women always have to have relationships in books has more to do, he thinks, with the Judeo-Christian attitudes regarding women, and that any woman that isn't prim, proper, or conceding to a man is clearly evil and cannot be trusted. You might have a point. I don't know what Author Goddess thinks of that, but you might. Also, can't resist the Life of Brian reference. I'm always down for Monty Python.
Yeah.
Ooh, sounds good, Stretch.
Oh, yes, and Eli, thank you. Stretch says, ooh, nice. Okay. Nice. Okay, sorry, I'll catch up on that in a moment, but... Okay, I don't mean Villa specifically, but I mean the concept of serial publishing, says Daz. It's been working for me, right? I've been using World Anvil and Patreon in combination to publish a chapter of my book as I do the final edit as I go, right? So those of you who are my patrons have been reading along. You are almost done. There are 5 chapters left, I think, at this point. Right, so you have gotten to preview it before it was all like prettified and fancified, right? And made better by the edit, and now it will be out there, right? So my Patreon has been slowly snowballing along and gathering snow since I started doing that, and since I started doing Twitch. So people for $1 a month on my Patreon, they can read all my serial fiction. I release 1 chapter of the Toy Soldier Saga and 1 chapter of the Weird West every week. At least I try. It's usually more like 3 a month of each because there's always one that I'm late with. But I do it on a regular basis, and people read it, and I guess they must like it because they don't tend to unsubscribe. So, give it a try if that's what you're thinking about.
I will say that serial publishing, there are 2 things. First of all, it does seem to work really well for Patreon and not very well for like Amazon and other selling platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, if you do choose to sell it as a serial, you make sure that people understand exactly what they're getting into, because you will have people pissed if you sell them a cereal and they don't expect a cereal.
Yeah. One of our friends, Rebecca Dodson, right, who is also a wonderful writer, by the way, right? She writes sort of like alternate history time travel romance is the series I'm reading of hers that I really like. And she got a lot of blowback because her first book in that series kind of ends on a cliffhanger, right? And I'm kind of like, I don't understand why people are so mad, because what did you expect? Obviously, this was going to be the origin story, guys, right? But, yeah, that can be a thing to keep in mind if you're looking into publishing serially, right? Yeah. But The Weird West has been published serially. It didn't do that well as an Amazon sale, but it's done really well on Patreon and World Anvil, right? The Kickstarter to put all the first 6 stories together into one book with a consistent arc, that worked really well, right? So, yeah. It sometimes you just have to try different markets and see what, and platforms and see what takes off, right? Okay.
Spaghetti on the wall.
Spaghetti on the wall. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my novel. It's like, okay, I've got some more. I'm actually thinking about pulling a scene completely out or rewriting it in a way that removes certain elements and saving those for later.
Right.
Even though my characters decided they wanted this now.
Well, do what's right for the story, right?
Well, that's just it. I was also given some feedback that it seemed rushed. So,
Pacing can be important,
yep.
right? But don't necessarily take things just because one person said it, right? My rule is this, right? I give stuff to my alpha readers and beta readers. I put it out there. If I hear from one person something they didn't like, I go, thank you, and I take that under advisement, right? If I hear from 2 people, I go, I should probably seriously look at this. If I hear it from 3 people, I go, okay, I got to work on this, right? So that's, that's
Yep.
how I do things, right? So don't take any one
Which is
person's.
what I advised you to do.
Yes, yes, it is. Absolutely. I'll totally. Yeah, that was your advice. She has lots of good advice.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it was Rowan who is the one person right now. So it's like, okay.
Well, there's the other
Which is
thing.
why I said also consult other people and get their opinion, because it could just be a me thing, because I happen to like my romances as a slow burn, and that one just seemed to develop really very quickly, just in part because of the time passage thing, but there wasn't enough there to really give the feeling of a time passage is part of the problem there, in my opinion.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, I mean, and just because it's not one person's cup of tea doesn't mean it won't be a million other people's cup of tea, right? So don't take anything too seriously. Like,
Well, so far, I've only gotten the one complaint about it. So, and I've had quite a few other readers that say this was great. So, and they're just alpha readers. So,
weighting opinion can also be good, right? Like, if people like you guys say one thing to me, right, or the partners, I take it pretty seriously, right? Pretty much everybody else can go fly, right?
which is
So
why I'm actually listening to what Rowan had to say. Is
yeah, no,
because
I get it, because you're like, oh well, Rowan told you that. Well, okay, her opinion is usually worth listening to. So you're at the if Rowan's opinion is like 2 other people for me. It's like, okay, I should take that. I should look at that seriously, right?
that's the way I'm looking at it too.
Yeah. So
I have an opinion about. I'm going to call it an unpopular opinion, though I'm not entirely certain that's true.
okay.
Unpopular opinion. Listening to your characters after the first draft. characters are like pigs. You set them loose to hunt for the truffles, I mean stories, but once they find them, you need to get them out the way. Because, it's like characters tell the story.
Yep.
That's true. But you are the author and, to a certain degree, the first editor. Your job is to clean that story up and make it presentable, because ain't nobody wants to read the rambling, maniacal drawlings of okay, in my case, my characters are all crazy. So do we really want to listen to that ramble? No, we don't. We want it to be cleaned up and nicely situated. So yeah, listen to your characters for your first draft and then tell them to shut up. You have to fix this.
Yeah, that's great. Characters are like pigs. They look for the truffles. I mean, the stories. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
just it. That's why I'm actually, because I'm thinking about it. Like, I've been thinking about it, and it's like, well, I don't need this particular scene right here. I can hold this off for the second book if I really wanted to.
If you're using a romantic subplot, then if you intend to do it in a trilogy, which I know that you intend to, you probably should draw it out over the 3 books. Right, because that's how
Yeah.
story structure tends to work, right? Book 1 is origin. Book 2 is or they get together, or they look like they're going to get together, but conflict keeps preventing it. Right. Book 3, you should have the crisis point of holy fuck, everything's going to shit, and then they get together, right? And it'll be satisfying for the reader at the end of it, right? In general, right?
Yeah.
Or just kill them all.
That could be done too, and then it would be a tragedy.
Yep. But yeah, that's basically it. That's why I felt things were really rushed. Actually, Sable pretty much hit it right on the nail right on the head there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean I'm not denying that, which is why I'm actually taking it into account. It's like, okay, what is this? What is the problem?
Kill them all, says Eli. Yep. That is a tragedy.
Yeah, Daz, I got it. It's just
Awesome.
It's just a long way of saying, BAM!
Yeah, I did see, by the way, Cal, that you sent me a message. I will look at it, I promise. But, you have happened to catch me in an incredibly busy time in my life, so I cannot make any promises as to precisely when. I will try to do it after my stream. But I do see you, and I will look.
Colonian B51, what's down? Well, it's a cover reveal for Sable's new book. And yeah, they're special, and bam, there's a new book coming out. The Kickstarter starts on June 15th.
Thank you very much, Siobhan, for, Yeah, and there's the link, which appeared conveniently.
Which is also Rowan's birthday this year.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Sparkles.
It's a Sparkles birthday too. That's cool.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of neat.
Rowan and Sparkles are born on the same day, just different years.
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, much different years.
Don't make me choke, Rowan.
Oh, you know what I'm going to say, so I'm just not going to say it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, no, I am. Swallow, bitch.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, of course you would. Stretch says, one thing is for certain, if I ever wrote a book and my characters fell in love, one or both of them are going to die.
Well, that's
just don't fit your females.
Yeah, kill the guy.
Well, here's the funny thing.
We're really tired of the woman in the refrigerator trope. Kill the guy.
Yeah.
Please.
Things are going to change really nastily in book 2.
Of course they will. Otherwise, there won't be a book 2. Okay, says Stretch. Awesome. Yeah. All right, we're getting pretty close to quitting time here, gang. I find myself in fear that the stream is going to blow up when I show my Kickstarter preview video.
Well, how
Oh,
about then us ladies log away so you can close one more thing and free up some more system
Well,
resource.
give me a minute here. I'm going to try to close some other windows first, is what I'm
I
going
mean,
to.
we can always come back afterwards too.
I suppose that is true, isn't it? I could.
No, once I leave, I'm gone.
Well,
I'm a one shot.
you're a one shot. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a game or tequila, but yeah, I'm a one shot.
Killer sharks. Okay, you know what?
Could
In
be
either
fun
case, it's
too.
all good.
I'll tell you what I'm going to
Oh
do.
yeah.
I'm going to shut off my camera because you don't need to see my face. Right? I'm going to remove the cover image at this point because it's a huge graphic that is taking up a lot of memory to show. Where is it? Remove. No, actually, I don't want to remove it, do I? I want to make it disappear.
Oh yeah, I sent that Kickstarter pre-link to Chris too.
Awesome. Okay, and now we are going to switch to video. So yes, this is the Kickstarter video. You were getting a sneak preview. It will be up on the site when the Kickstarter goes live. Hi there. My name is Diane Morrison, and I'm a science fiction and fantasy author. I'm looking for your help to publish my novel, A Few Good Elves. Years ago, you guys helped me publish Once Upon a Time in the Weird West, which is a collection of my Weird Western serial stories. And 2 years ago, you helped me to edit and publish Gunsmoke and Dragonfire, a fantasy western anthology. I figured we'd make a winning team. The Toy Soldier Saga is a fantasy space opera universe. It has all of the elements of space opera science fiction, but everything's done by magic. I don't think there's anything out there that's quite like it. And I really hope that you'll enjoy it and the extended universe that has been created around it.
I am Chris, I play Arian, the big older pensionless elf.
Remember, we've only got 30 days to make this happen. With your support, you can have some of the art that's been created for the books, you can have the stories, the ebook, a trade paperback copy, a hardcover copy, and it will get signed. You could even get the entire collection of everything that I have previously published within Publishment. Thanks in advance for your support, and thank you for listening. And we are back.
Huzzah.
Yes, to answer Shadow's question, this is book 1 of what is intended to be a 5-book series. Each will be about similar length. There's already been 3 short stories, 2 novelettes, and 1 novella that have been written for it, and out of that, 5 out of the 6 have been published, right? A couple of them have been published multiple times, right? So, it's going to be this. This is the beginning, right? This is the beginning if it works, right? If it works. So. Thank you. I'm glad you guys liked the video. It was a lot of work, I won't lie.
Oh yeah, it was really good, and I am looking forward.
Thank you. Thanks for
I will
supporting me,
have to
guys.
watch it later on the VOD because,
Yeah.
satellite internet and we're not getting along.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's totally understandable. So, yeah. All right, so we've only got a few minutes left. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I want to thank a lot of you for being so patient. I realize that it's really late in Europe. I know that a lot of people are going to be like watching this on the VOD later and stuff, but thank you for sticking with it. Right? Yeah. Yes, Eli needs to make their Kickstarter video too. Yes, they do.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Soon, but not yet. I still have about a year and a half or 2 years before mine's ready. At least.
Well, yeah, that's the process, right? And that's part of, it's part of what makes this a hard job, right? You spend so much time putting in energy to these labors of love, and then you have to make a product out of it, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah. And Sable, you know what
Hmm.
I think you should do?
What do you think I should do?
You should set up your Aradia Publishing
Hmm.
for our own voices type books, because everything you have seems to have something of that nature in it anyway.
I definitely support Own Voices books. Right, definitely. What she's talking about, which you may not know, is I started a small, it's got 2 books published in it, one I wrote, okay, right, called Aradia Publishing, and I set that up so that I could publish Gunsmoke and Dragonfire a couple years ago. Right, so yeah, get in the raffle. If you have not been in the raffle yet, we've only got a few minutes left. You want to make sure you don't miss it. Exclamation point raffle. It's a collection of all the Toy Soldier Saga short fiction. Short being relative. I have a 40,000 word novella in that short package, right? Um, but it's all of that so far, right? I will warn you, there are spoilers, right? If you read that, you are going to learn about some of the stuff that happens in future books. You might want to hold off reading some of those stories. I have a suggested reading order, which is on my Toy Soldier Saga website, right? It's I think it's in the Discovering the Toy Soldier Saga article is what it's called, and it'll give you my suggested reading order, right? Based, it's loosely chronological, right? So you may want to look at that before you start digging into stuff that you don't want to know yet, right? If you don't like spoilers. If you do like spoilers, hey, have at it. Aaron is the kind of guy who, as a kid, used to go find the Christmas presents in the closet and unwrap them and find out what they were, and he preferred to do that. Me, I preferred not to. I preferred to wait until Christmas. You guys do it your way. I do not judge you.
I was guilty of the same thing Aaron was. I was the master at, taking tape and
Yeah.
cutting it and then replacing it perfectly.
You always
You
gotta
too, huh?
know. Yeah, you always gotta know. Not me.
Yeah,
I like to be surprised.
Yes, I do. I hate suspense. It drives me batshit.
well, the biggest problem for me was my parents would have gifts that were unwrapped, and they keep them in certain areas, right? So I'd find them, but I wouldn't know who was whose until Christmas morning, and that drove me nuts.
Oh man,
Well, I knew which
that
ones were
would
my
make me
sisters
crazy.
because they got things like dolls and stuff, but
Yeah. 1 minute and 20 seconds left to enter the raffle. Yeah, Eli says, I used to read the last page of a book to see if I would like it. I sometimes do that if I'm unsure, not the last page, but somewhere in the middle. I'll like flip open the book and go, okay, what's going on here? You know, because this beginning is kind of dubious. And the truth is, I can, okay, you may not know it based on this room, but I actually can't afford to buy every paperback book I want. I can't. Why do I have this crazy collection? I received a bunch of secondhand books from a bunch of people as a collection when I had them at a physical store and I had no other thing to do with them, right? The other is I worked at a bookstore for a while and had an employee discount, right? So that's why, and this is only some of my books, guys. I'm a lunatic. Writers read a lot.
Uh-huh.
I have 3 Rubbermaids in storage, and they're big ones. They're like massive, you know, they weigh like 150 pounds each, kind of sized Rubbermaids full of books.
Yeah, I've got enough books to fill
3,
4
2,
or 5
1.
6-foot bookcases and still have books left in boxes.
Nice.
And that's after losing $15,000 worth of books to a fire when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bookshelf over there that you can't see. And then there's all the bookshelves in what is now Jamie's room. And that's where all the fiction goes. This isn't even any of the fiction, except for my books up there. Right? And why are they up there? Is so that, you know, you can see that I write stuff. Right? So.
Oh, and Sable, don't forget your odd pile of books in the living room.
Oh yeah, the pile of books that I'm either reading, think I'm going to read, or want to read, or read and forgot to put away.
Yeah.
That pile? Yeah.
That pile.
That pile. Yeah.
All right, the raffle's done.
Which has not changed.
Which has not
existence in years, I might add.
Oh God, yeah, I know.
Yeah, the TBR list, right? To be read, which never ends.
That list is a lie.
The list is what?
That list is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
You intend to read them, but you won't.
Yep, that's right.
Oh yeah, she will eventually when she finds time. Maybe what she should do is when she's in her tub, take a book with her instead of her laptop.
Hey man, I wouldn't get any writing done if I didn't take my laptop.
Well, no, Sable, the reason I'm saying that is this way you're reading something instead of writing, so you can actually gather more information for your writing.
Yeah, you have a point there. I do that occasionally. Yeah. But not...
You know what annoys the crap out of me?
What's that?
The bookshelves that people use to decorate that are like 2 shelves and they're done with like 6 books and stuff like that. And I'm like, if you're not going floor to ceiling with this, why are you even bothering?
Yeah,
oh, God, I know.
Yeah, why are you wasting the space?
I mean, Sable, don't forget your nice big bookshelf in the living room that is full of gaming books.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah,
you're 4 foot wide, 6 foot tall.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, that's where all the gaming books go. Yeah, so I'm kind of. We've been talking about doing a tiny house. I'm like, I need a library if we're gonna build a tiny house. There's gonna have to be the tiny house and then the library,
which is a tiny house of it in and of itself.
Just don't.
Like you said back at the beginning of the stream.
Just don't, Simple. I live in a tiny house. Just don't. It will make you crazy. Just don't.
Okay.
There is not enough space to put everything. Ever.
Gotcha.
So you wind up with heaps of stuff stacked in the corners, you know. Yeah, just don't.
Rowan,
I don't have any choice.
Cellar.
Okay, gang, we're going to draw the winner of the raffle here. And the winner of the Toy Soldier Saga story package is...
Me again!
Oh my god, that's so funny. For those who don't know, Siobhan has a real habit of winning these bloody raffles. Look, guys, I feel at this point I have to show you This is Streamlabs. It's totally randomized. I have nothing to do with it, right? But like, to be fair, she's also on the channel a lot. Yeah, rigged, says Doug's World. No, it's not rigged.
Well, the thing is, Doug's World is the last time I won it, I actually kept one story, and gave the rest to Sapling.
Mm-hmm.
This time I'm taking the rest of the stories and giving one to Sparkles.
That's cool. Okay, you got it. Speaking of which, I still haven't gotten that to you, have I? So I better do that.
No, you haven't.
Poke me on Discord and remind me I have to do it. Yeah.
Okay,
Just
poking.
okay. Just hilarious. Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, but to be fair, right? I mean, how many channel points do you have, Siobhan?
255,634.
Yeah, because she's always here. So you're always here. You always get in the raffle. You're more likely to win the raffle, right?
Yep.
So. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun, and thank you for being patient with me while I babble about my shit, which I, don't normally do. So I find myself now doing the Canadian thing where, did I talk too much?
No, you didn't.
No, you did not.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay. It's cool. And once again, this is the other streamers that we have here are Author Goddess. You can check her out on her Twitch channel. She is also Sarah Berman, the author of the Rune Spell series, which is like the Dresden Files meets American Gods, right? That is what the blurb says. I know because I wrote it, because that's what I thought, right? It's amazing. And you should definitely read it. Cal, you'd love it. You should read it. I know you would.
Sounds like Rowan would too.
Rowan would love it. Rowan would love it.
The
Read
funny
it.
thing is, Daz, the Sable had 3 raffles for 6-month subscriptions to her world, and I won all 3 and gave them all away.
Yep, she did so. Yeah, she doesn't hold on to anything she already has, guys. Right? And because she's here a lot, right? She tends to get them a lot. So, okay.
And she subscribed, which gives her extra tickets.
That's also true.
So if you want more tickets and a better chance at winning one of these raffles, subscribe to the channel.
Thank you. Thank you for that crass commercial announcement that I never make, which is awesome. There is going to be subscriber-only content starting soon, too. It will mostly be me reading stuff, probably. Maybe some music. Okay, Siobhan, the writer, also has a Twitch channel where she streams her writing and World Anvil. They both stream writing and World Anvil stuff. They're really, really fun to talk to for different reasons. Because they're different people, for one thing, but also Siobhan is a fairly newish writer that she's taken it seriously. So watching her excitement and learn as she goes, and her helping other people who are in the same position that she's in, is really wonderful and refreshing, right? And Author Goddess is, she's been in the biz a while now, right? And she can tell you stuff that you didn't know and we wish somebody had told us, right?
All right, Shadow, which story do you want?
Yeah, the one she's planning on giving away is the erotica story. Do you want an erotica story? Are you the legal age of majority where you are, or the age of consent where where that can be sent? Okay. Yeah, so
Because I don't mind giving away another one.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's fair enough then. Okay, well, the stories in the package are Survivor, which takes place sort of after part 2 in book 2. Right. Oh wait, no, I got to start earlier than that. Okay, the first story is the Queen's Dirk, which is part of it's a noveletized version of one of the scenes in A Few Good Elves, right? So it's like a sampler, right? Survivor takes place between like about part 2 and 3 of book 2, right? It's it's the shortest of the stories. I think it's about 3,000 words, right? 3,500, something like that. Eye of the Storm takes place at the beginning of book 3, right? That's the erotica one. Then there's Pirate Princess Thief Assassin. Oh, wait, yeah. Pirate Princess Thief Assassin, which takes place between book 3 and book 4. Then there's As Only a Soldier Can, which takes place somewhere in the middle of book 4. I'll be a bit more sure of that when I have written it, or part of it, which I've got it started, but that's it, right? And Homefront, which is a novella, takes place over, like, that's the 40,000 word one, that takes place over the course of the entire series, up to, let's see, probably the end of book 3. But it gives information that doesn't become known to the protagonist until book 5, right? So it's got some spoilers, right? If you like spoilers, awesome, right? If you don't like them, you don't want to read that one. It will tell you stuff that you know, that is meant to be a bit of a surprise. So, but yeah, if you like spoilers, like I said, no judgment. And okay.
All right, Sable, send Homefront to Shadow Malachi. I'll let you know.
That I can do. I think I even have that sitting around in PDF already. But Shadow, remind me, okay? Poke me in an individual message on Discord, and I will get it done. Okay? All right, we're after time. Thank you again so much, everyone, for all your support and joining me. Hopefully, I can convince you guys to support the Kickstarter so we can get this thing happening. And you know, just thanks for being here, right, and listening, and you know, it being encouraging. Like, I really appreciate it, and thank you guys, right? I've shouted out Author Goddess and Siobhan. Rowan and Siobhan are also on the Toy Soldiers campaign, which happens on, that takes place in the sort of a prequel of this story and universe, right? And that happens on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UTC, so like 2 o'clock in the morning UK. All right. Awesome. Yeah, because they're the Elven Marines. They're Mac Esog. Love.
That's right.
All right, and who are we rating, gang?
Well, let's see. Who do we have? We have Travis. We have Robin. Eli is up.
Eli's up. We'll be rating Eli. Eli's been in the stream the whole time, hanging out and supporting. It's only fair that we support Eli. Eli also has a Kickstarter coming up, so make sure to check out their work too. It's sort of like post-apocalyptic fantasy, and it's awesome, by the way. So don't forget to shout when you get there. Prepare to be boarded, because we are the Sable's Privateers. Why? Because that's going to be the title of book 4. All right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're running into Sable.
Sable.
Oh boy, that's gonna be fun.
Sable, the game character that will become a book character, that is part of where I got the identity for Sable, my SCA persona, which is how it became my name. This is how long this book's been going on, guys.
Oh yeah, I remember Sable. She was fun.
I remember.
Scary.
Too.
Okay. We're rating now.
Have a good night, Stretch.
Bye, guys.